And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. We are all in for a very special treat today because as of right now, you can look at the other man on this screen right now. We have Mr. Pokemon Radar himself, John. He's one of my favorite people in this entire hobby to talk to. He's somebody that I've really got to know pretty well in the last couple months. He's been on my channel one time in the past for a one-on-one. And then as many of you guys out there have watched or you already know, we had that extremely epic live with Radar and a bunch of other people on. So he's now been on this channel 2 times before this. So this makes the third official time. So if any of you guys don't really know his backstory, I recommend you going on the channel. I have a playlist watching that first live. But with that said, Radar, man, as always, thank you very much for joining the channel. What's been up with you recently in this great Pokemon hobby of ours?
Hey man, yeah, it's always fun hopping on and talking with you. I've been kind of revamping my whole business and rebuilding my brand, I guess, in a way. And started making content a lot more. So it's kind of the same venture that I had started and stopped multiple times in the past before, but now it's doing it again with a lot more experience and knowledge behind it is hopefully going to be a little bit different this time, but yeah, I'm just having a lot of fun with it again, and have a few things that I'm still having the works that will be coming out soon. But yeah, so yeah, that's really where I'm at right now. Doing a lot of random lives. I should be more consistent with it like you are, but
I'm not really consistent. Mine are all last seconds type stuff.
Oh yeah, that seems to be the norm for Pokemon right now. Every Pokemon YouTuber that's going live, they just like randomly do it when they want.
Yeah, but no, that's pretty cool. So when you say you're rebranding, what does that mean? Are you just means you're getting back to the grind of making videos and doing stuff like that? Because you kind of left I would say your void you left in the content you were making definitely, I wouldn't say it was like directly affected the growth of my channel, but it definitely indirectly affected the growth of my channel because you were doing stuff like I'm doing right now, making your very original podcast series. And for anybody out there who may not be familiar with Radar, the link to his YouTube channel is in the description of this video. I recommend you going down below, clicking on it, giving him a subscribe, but more importantly, going and looking at his playlists because his playlists are some of the more epic lives in the history of this hobby. And like people sometimes forget that they even exist, but they're almost timeless in a way.
I actually unlisted all that stuff off of YouTube at the current time.
Why did you do that?
Well, that's part of the rebranding, right? So all the old podcasts that I did are still available on Apple and Spotify, I believe. But yeah, for the whole rebranding phase, I wanted to like start with a clean slate and to take the YouTube channel in a very focused direction.
Well, I'm glad I went and watched. I've watched every single one of your lives, so I'm happy.
So I think I plan on like reposting them slowly as time goes on. Or obviously if like something happens and I just like stop making YouTube again, I'll just list them all publicly again just so it's there for people if they want to watch it. But yeah, I mean, obviously podcasting in itself isn't like something I pioneered, but it was a void in the hobby that I recognized really, really early on. And I think I started like the same day that Real Breaking Nate and Jordan Fringe and Super Duper Danny started their podcasts. So yeah, I just like started on it really early and had like as many big collectors and YouTubers that I was friends with on. And it was unique. It was fun. It was different. It ended up doing really well. Brought in quite a bit of views once I started heading on Spotify and Apple to the whole thing. But yeah, I I did that for nearly a year, I think, pretty consistently. Um, and branched off into other podcasts. I did one with Gary for a little bit. I did one with Squeaks for a while, Collectible
Oh, the
Conversations.
we all love the one with Squeaks. I I
Um,
I've talked about this. I think we talked about the last time you were on this channel,
yeah.
and I think the exact words I used was it was like catching lightning in a bottle. Like that's the best way to explain that because you two, from the outside looking in, if you knew nothing about Pokemon, you would just think you guys have identical takes on the entire hobby. But anybody who's in the know, who listens to you guys talk, it's like, oh no, very polarizing takes when it comes to this hobby. But you guys have this very weird chemistry where you could disagree, but still like be civil.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it, Squeaks is a very outgoing person, maybe not outgoing, but passionate. And
Yeah.
you're very more reserved. So that I don't know how you did it, but that combination, it was there. It made for extremely great content, and I know all of us really enjoyed that. And
Yeah.
kind of Squeaks has been hinting at things, saying that things people have been asking for may be coming back, and I'm hoping that the subtle clues you two have been given is that that's what it means. And I know you probably won't be able to say anything today, but
Well, yeah, like it's funny. That's definitely the one like piece of content that was a part of my brand and his obviously that I get asked about all the time to like do it again, bring it back. Um, and from not only like my friends, but like random viewers that will hop in my lives and be like, when are you doing this? When are you doing this? Like I heard it on my whatnots, I heard it on my whatever lives I hopped in. So yeah, that is something that 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 I'm looking forward to doing again. And I've definitely hinted at it as well. I'm pretty confident it's going to come back. So once it does, it'll probably be like its own separate thing. But as we build that, we'll have to market it off of our own personal radar and Squeaks brand. So
yeah,
keep an eye out for that. Yeah.
if that does happen though, I think that would be just awesome for not just us, but for the hobby in general. Because like I said, I definitely enjoyed it. I'm sure however many people are watching this right now, everyone enjoyed that too. So
Thank you. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I want to like it's something that I definitely have some pride on. On the borderline of it being an egotistical thing of kind of being one of the original Pokemon podcasters because it absolutely did, and I've been told by you and Shiv and other people who started long form Pokemon podcast stuff that I was an influence on them for it. So
yeah,
I'm grateful to have been able to set that trend in a way, I guess, or be a part of it in some way. Um, I definitely I wish I stuck with it, but yeah, it just became it's a really it became a really daunting thing to continue one upping or improving from my last episode.
dude, how do you
And
think I feel after last Friday?
yeah,
You think I'm ever gonna be able to one up that?
I
Like
don't
that's my
yeah,
life from now on.
yeah, that's gonna be yeah, you're gonna have to really, really break down how you want to think about that
Yeah,
so that
people are gonna tune into my channel, and say, "Wait a second, there's not the biggest names in the Pokemon community on right now today." It's like, oh well, I'm gonna don't forget to smash that unsubscribe button on your way out, people.
smash the unsubscribe button.
Wait,
What's up,
there's no
chat?
Scott Pratt on today. Oh, unsub.
Yeah, I think you had possibly the entire outside of a couple big names, you could have had the entire Pokemon viewership watching that live. If you
Yeah.
got like everyone to share it too, that would have been a massive like from the viewership numbers. But
Well,
yeah,
you
that
know
was
what?
wild.
It
That'll never
gives me
happen again.
yeah, it gives me Rattle and Ryan something to shoot for next month. And that's the thing. Like next month podcast, like we know there's big expectations, and it's now our job to deliver. So we'll see what happens next month.
So that's only once a month, you three?
Yeah. So it gives us a
Okay.
big buffer that
Yeah.
So that made the third episode. So we had the first episode, then the second episode, Rev joined, and then he joined the first one, he skipped the second one, he joined the third one. So Rev's been on this channel like 4 different times.
That's wild.
Which, when you look at my sub count and you look at Rev's count, it's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is going on?
No,
You know?
it was the same thing for me, but I mean, I think when I had him on the first time, he was maybe like 30K or 50K.
Yeah, whatever. It
But,
shows
yeah.
it shows that he's a person, you know?
Oh yeah.
And it shows that he's actually like a good dude. Like, can't thank him enough, but we'll see. I don't
Yeah. For the people that like don't know him and understand the monster that YouTube is to take on, like a lot of the people that I met who try to collab with him, and it's the same story with everybody. Like I get told, I hear things being told behind my back from people I don't know who they are, who think I'm an asshole because I don't like hang out with them at a show or something. Like I'm busy. Rev has 3 kids. The dude has the biggest Pokemon channel on the planet right now. It's growing at a ridiculous pace.
It's like light speed growing.
Yeah, like
it's
if
like
you
a
can't,
make-believe speed.
yeah, if you can't do something with you or hop on a live or whatever, it's not a personal thing. It's he's got things to do.
That's why I said the fact
yeah.
that he's been hopping on, and yeah, there's been a lot going on, and next month is going to be as epic. We're gonna try. Maybe not.
Oh, you're gonna be disappointed if you're gonna try.
We're gonna try. We'll see.
Hey,
Maybe
you never know.
people. Maybe different people though, you know.
Yeah. No, I just know something of that caliber that happened. If you tried to make it happen, it won't happen because lining it up at
that's
that was incredible.
and and anybody that got to tune in real time and watch it live, they got to watch it play out real time, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's things that happen that like you could have some of the biggest collectors in the hobby or some of the most well-known people in the hobby, right? But when you have little events that happen, like when Scott joined, there was 11 other people in that chat. Some of the biggest collectors. You had Gary in there, and you had Radar in there, and you had Cool Train Orion, like guys with and PokeRev, like guys with massive collections.
Mm-hmm.
When Scott actually popped on the screen, there was 11 shocked faces at one time. Like, like people don't understand. Like, we were all shocked by that. Like, there wasn't we could have did an open mouth thumbnail for that video. That would have broke all. It would have won Rattles Booze News open mouth thumbnail for like now until eternity.
Yeah, it's I probably know Scott. It's somewhat of a personal level more than the majority of people, and I never would have imagined that happening. I'm still not sure if he knew it was live or not for the first 20 minutes, just like Zach, but
that was probably bad too. That was a shame on all of us.
Well, I mean, you hop into a chat with Pokemon people, it's to me, you'd figure it's for sure something that's live, but someone like Scott too, who's just incredibly busy, doesn't pay attention to the stuff. He had no idea.
Yeah, but it was like a brick by brick thing, and you needed like all these little things to happen, right? Like you couldn't do it with just one thing happen. You needed like a constant compounding of people joining, and I'll tell you, by the end of that stream, we more or less could have got anyone on, because anybody wanted to join that by the end. It just got a little crazy at the end. Like people were getting tired. Like I was exhausted by the end of that.
That went late. Yeah.
Yeah. Like 1:30 Eastern time. I got a newborn at home. Like I was beat up.
Yeah. That was it got, I mean, it was like, it was so big too. There were so many people that you just wanted to sit back and listen to everyone else speak, but you couldn't, because you also wanted to chime in and get some words in too. But it was I mean, the way that happened will never be repeatable. I'm sure that something like that, again, if you did try and make it happen, it could happen. But Yeah, the way that happened was so unique, so cool. And I think we'll be remembered for a very long time.
Yeah. So real quick, for anybody out there who's watching this live stream right now, if you look down below in the chat, Drew, one of my mods, dropped a link for Radar's channel. If by any chance you are not subscribed to his channel, do me a favor, real quick, just hit the pause button of this video, click on that link, give him a quick subscribe, hop right back here. I promise you, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, so and one of the things I want to do on today's video, Radar, is like kind of pick your brain a little bit on
Yeah.
just the overall health of the hobby, because I always like to have people in this hobby who have really seen sort of the ups and downs, but at the same time, like understands the grind that is Pokemon. So
Mhm.
one of the things that I've noticed a lot, or at least maybe not noticed a lot, but a lot of the sentiment from a lot of the people who have recently joined the hobby, because that's just, it's not really a question of if that's the case. It is kind of like a lot of the people that join this hobby join, let's just call it 2020 to 2022.
Yeah.
But we're running into this really weird area now where people who joined in 2020 to 2022, like they only ever saw this drastic, like exponential increase of Pokemon, right? Like
Mhm.
anything they bought, anything they said, okay, I want this card, it went up in price. But like, what would your advice be to those people who are now starting to see things retrace a little bit? And it's not a simple answer either, right? Like, not
Yeah.
everything's retracing.
Right.
Ho-
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually just recently kind of like reflected on this after I had a conversation with someone about just about the market in general and everything that's going on. And I mean, even having going through it before, I still got caught up in the hype as well through 2020 until now. I definitely made a lot of mistakes buying things and losing a decent amount of money on them. Um, so like just because you go through it once does not mean that you're going to be prepared or ready for the next one. When I first joined the hobby from a serious note, it was right at the Pokemon boom era. Like I got in right before it. So I was buying things and I was not losing money. You know, I could buy things, I could sell it for 50 to 100% more within a week
Yeah.
and
And
build my collection.
real quick about that, your last video you made, you went through your spreadsheets of like
Yeah.
purchases you made. I want to say it went back to 2017, but it was like what you
Mhm.
bought stuff in 2017, what you sold it for. And you actually did something a lot of people don't do, which is good record keeping. And if I
Yeah.
could go back in time, I wish I could have done the record keeping you did instead of just zero record keeping. But
I stopped in 2020 because it got ridiculous. But yeah.
you made that, so you could go back, watch his most recent live where he goes through that. If you like that more analytical, like what were things selling for, what did he sell it for,
Mhm.
and it puts everything into context, really.
Yeah. And yeah, and going through that too made me realize like this was a time period that was similar to 2020, but the numbers were just dramatically smaller. Um, there was still, I guess, a similar percentage increase on stuff where, with singles and grading, like there was always, a few different aspects. Like back then, you could still grade and get cards back in 30 days. Um, so there was a lot of things that were different then, but from the viewpoint of buying anything and making money on everything was the same. And so when I was going through that in the first Pokemon Go boom, I did a great job of building a collection, fell into that sentiment of trying to be a true collector and um, had a really great inventory of stuff to hold on to, which prepared me for 2020. Um, but even then, I sold things really early because I fell into the whole, the world's crashing and burning. These things are gonna be worth nothing. So I sold a bunch.
Pokemon's always crashing. Pokemon's always
Always,
burning.
no matter what. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always
Even
that
when
narrative.
Pokemon was doing this, like going to the moon, rocket ship emojis, it was still halfway, and people are like, crash coming, and
Yeah,
then it just kept going.
yeah.
And yeah,
And like, yeah, I mean, they weren't wrong. They were just they were
they
just
were like
being,
6 months too early, a lot of them.
yeah, exactly. And you know, I I I did the logical thing at the time and just sold enough to pay off all my debts in case like things did crash and burn. Um, and then I still had plenty left over to sell as things were skyrocketing. Um, but that was another thing where I should have sold everything, right? But I was just doing the status quo and buying and selling as I always did. So, um, for those people that got in and were able to make money at least during this time for a little bit, I hope that they'll understand that they can do that at any period of time within Pokemon.
The
Um,
the only way people who got in didn't make money would have had to have been if they didn't sell anything, right? Meaning,
right.
like, there was so many options or opportunities where it's like you could have got in, and there's
Yeah.
no way you didn't make money unless you were just, what is that? Wall Street bets term. Your diamond hands, right?
You're
If you're the
hodling. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're the diamond hand instead of like, diamond hand in your cardboard all the way through, then yeah.
Yeah. Which was exactly around that time that was memeing and people were definitely doing that. So, yeah, I think the majority of the money that I made in 2020 was from buying during that period and reselling. Um,
Quick resale though, yeah.
yeah. And it was mainly trophy cards because I just saw an opportunity there.
Yeah, so
Um,
bring me back, Radar. So
yeah.
trophy cards is one of those things in the hobby where I don't know. It's I wouldn't say it's polarizing because that's probably like a bad word to use, but there's either the people that are
People feel
like,
that way. Yeah.
I like trophy cards, or there's people who maybe fall more on my side. Like, I totally understand trophy cards. I understand the rarity to them. I understand the
Mm.
chase to them. I understand like how hard they are to find, source, all these things that are involved. I don't want trophy cards personally because one of the things I love about Pokemon is like that inherent ability to own it yourself. Where trophy cards, I always think of somebody else owning it.
Mm.
But in a way, I
Yeah.
still wouldn't hate to have it. Like, I have a lot of like, like low end trophy cards, right? Like, like victory cups and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
super mass produced stuff. And I wouldn't even call them trophy cards, right? They're just uh, maybe not trophy cards. They're like just show up
Prize.
cards. Yeah,
Oh,
like
participation.
participation
Yeah.
trophy kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Like everyone gets a trophy type cards. But you're talking the highest end, right? You're
Yeah.
talking people that won worlds, people that won Illustrator contest or whatever.
Hmm.
And I don't know. So when you go back to the beginning, when you started to discover trophy cards, or at least discover the trophy card market, you had to discover how to source these cards too. Like,
Yeah.
what was it like sourcing them? And what made you take that leap? Because anybody out there listening to the 51 people watching this video right now, in order to go to the trophy card market on the high end, like what I talked about, the stuff I collect, the lowest of the lowest, like we
Yeah.
make the joke, it's participation medals. Radar, what you were talking about, you have to jump off the high dive, right? Because the buyer pool for what you're buying goes from this Pokemon hobby, we're all the way out here, and at the farthest tip of my fingertip, it's Red's Pikachu from the 20th anniversary. And then here we are to like where you are with trophy cards. Like, what
Yeah.
made you take that leap, I should say?
It was I mean, I I will always say a little bit of stroke of luck. But it's where I positioned myself in the hobby. Things that I did were very calculated, and I am very understanding of like what my strengths are in my personal and business life. So, um, what I did really early on was just I invested into networking and building relationships more so than I did cards. and recognizing the opportunity of these people coming in like Justin Bieber and Logan Paul, Logic, Steve Aoki, all these people with very large influence on the greater world, not just within the Pokemon hobby. And of course, the amount of I guess what their net worth is kind of drastically changed what was possible in Pokemon.
Why do you think they decided to jump in though?
So I
Have you
can,
ever got to ask those guys, just ask them that simple question, like, what,
yeah,
why?
yeah. So
And
like
I
before,
still want you to answer your trophy card question. I'm
yeah.
sorry if I diverted you.
So like Steve Aoki is someone that I consider, out of all these bigger names that you hear about, was one that I consider like an actual friend. Like I was able to spend time with him one on one, like at his house, just hanging out, talking about Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Pokemon, Sailor Moon, whatever. Um, for Steve, he is an extremist with Japanese culture. He's a very proud Japanese guy, and has a very, very strong tie to really any sort of personal interest that has to do with, that comes from Japan. So, when I first went to his house, it was obviously a very unique collection of items, but he had these really cool and large, just like figures of Godzilla and Dragon Ball Z, and he has for his tours, he has essentially one of one personally made, like these really cool coats that are like painted by some Japanese artist of whatever anime you can think of. So he's just very, him personally, he's very big on Japanese culture. And when you tie that in with his interest in investing and collecting, because he has a little bit of almost everything, Pokemon cards just made sense for him. They, of course, there's always the business interest on top of it, but I think what really drove him and made it easy for him to dive in like the way he did and spend millions. I think he spent more on sports cards than he did Pokemon, but it was just easy for him to go into Pokemon and dive in. And I started showing him the world of trophy cards really early on, and he was loving it.
How did he get a hold of you though? Like,
so this was like, this is like the crazy thing that happened to me when I decided to quit my job. When I decided to quit my real
and
job,
what year was that you quit your
this
job?
was I left it September 19th, 2020.
Okay. So right before the real boom.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I was like, and I guess I could consider it like insider knowledge, but I was able to see it and watch it happen by being connected to this, circle of people. Literally the day that I quit my job and put my 2 weeks in, I got connected to Logic, the rapper, and was on the phone with him like a couple days later. And then within,
before or after he bought his Charizard, the PSA 10?
that was this was before he was like anyone even knew. This was like his first instance of getting into it. I sold him a First Ed Neo Destiny box. And then weeks later he bought the Charizard, which that's a fun story. That was pretty just weird. And then, yeah, after I left my job, I was like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just buying and selling cards at eBay. I need to actually like do something else to fill my time. Because when you're just selling on eBay and things are selling no matter what at this point, there wasn't that much time that I needed to put into it. A couple hours a day, maybe, listing and packaging things. So I had a lot of free time. And I was just like, all right, let's try to do some cool events, make something happen, start building a name for myself and establish myself in this place where I can be considered, one of the more knowledgeable Pokemon experts out there. I set the goal of wanting to get a full-time job as a Pokemon expert for a company. So that was my path. That was my goal. Set myself up. I was like, looked at someone like S. Pratt, who was building out his Patreon. I looked at people like Charlie Herlocker. I looked up to a lot of these people and studied them, got to know them, became friends with them, and, took little pieces of what they were doing, tied it to my personality, and went off and just went after it, whatever it was, so the first time I got to talk to Steve was when Gary decided to do what was probably like the first big charity event of Pokemon.
Which event was that?
It was a base set box opening, which was done
First ed or just unlimited?
unlimited. This was the time when boxes were like 30,000, 35,000 unlimited
at the
base
peak
set.
of the peak. Okay.
Yeah, because this was after, once Logan Paul did his live, that's when people were like, all right, let's start following suit and do some
The
stuff.
people that sold at the 30K mark, which is a very small amount of people, but God's, good for them.
Yeah. I had 7 boxes of base set before the pandemic. Sold, I think, 3 or 4 of them, and then sold the other 3 once they hit 10,000 each. So
And that was a smart play.
yeah,
Who would have thought that they would keep?
what
Are they at now? They're still, I think they settled at like 12.
Yeah, they're like 12.
Which is still, to think, I wouldn't touch a base set box for 12 because it's that problem with price memory, right? Like where price memory is almost a hindrance in this hobby, where price memory might be a good thing for a lot of people, where price memory will keep you from doing the stupid buys. But there is the very small percentage where price memory will hurt you, where things will potentially keep rising up. And it's just a matter of knowing which one is the smart play and which one's a dumb play. Like, I can't tell you.
Yeah, no one can. And always, let's continue buying and selling. Don't stop.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Gary was putting on this event. This is when he made that like big poster with all the PokeTubers and collectors on it, got them signed. And I think he was able to sell out like 35 packs or something. And for whatever reason, I decided to call him. I was asking him about it. Like, how's it going? What's the event like? You guys excited about it? And he told me he had a pack left. And I said, I'll buy one. And I think it was $1,000 to get a pack. And I was like, I'll buy one. And then I just asked, can I come to the event and watch my pack be opened? And he said, yeah, sure. However, this was like obviously the peak COVID time too. And with Steve being who he was and having to like potentially go to shows or whatever, he was very strict about who was coming to his house and make sure you don't have COVID and all this stuff. So I booked my whole trip to go out there, go out to Vegas for a few days and pray that I didn't get COVID, because they tested me like at his front door with one of those quick tests. Otherwise it would just been like a trip to Vegas for nothing. Lose some money at the blackjack tables and yeah, just be there. So yeah, Gary just kind of made it happen. He invited me, said it was all good, and I came and literally just kind of awkwardly stood there for a while in his house, asking anybody if they needed help with setup or anything with streaming, or like trying to understand whether or not like how to show it. Just doing whatever I could to like help and be not awkward there. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, that's got to be super awkward though, to kind of just be, hey.
Yeah, like, and at the time I'm not really, this is when I'm like establishing my footprint and my brand. I just started doing more content and stuff like that, but yeah, Steve had no idea who I was, so I was there hanging out with Gary, his wife, and his daughter, kind of just moseying around, looking around the house at all the cool stuff. And what happened was I met the head of his charities foundation. Her name is Britta. And like she was completely overwhelmed with what was happening during this live. Had no idea what the heck Pokemon was, what was happening, like what people were saying in chat, what the donations meant, or really how to run a live stream. So I was just like helping her out, and I helped run, part of the show from behind the scenes. So I got really involved with like the production of that whole live, and they were very thankful of all that. And I met some of Steve's, wealthier friends. That was pretty beneficial to get in touch with. But the thing that like made me and him click was I brought a binder of Japanese just like sets. It was like Jungle through Gym Heroes or something. And I planned on getting some cards signed by him for the hell of it. And before we were about to leave, it was super late.
What's super late? We talking like 1?
It was like midnight.
Okay.
But it was West Coast time, so it was like 3. It felt like 3 a.m. to me.
Yeah.
So I was super tired. It was really late. A bunch of stuff happened during that. I got caked by Steve personally, which was fun. We had a big like feast afterwards and all that. But yeah, as people were like filtering out, Gary is one of the last people to leave because he was just like, making sure everything was all set with the packs getting out to the people who bought them. And I was about to leave with Gary because I came with him. But I went up to Steve and said, "Hey, can you sign a couple cards for me?" And I've opened up the book and they were Japanese cards, and he had not seen Japanese Pokemon cards yet. He'd only seen the base set English stuff. And because he was very like, he knew it was a Japanese brand, but he hadn't seen the Japanese cards yet.
I mean, I get it. That kind of irks me in a little ways.
Why?
So I don't know. That doesn't irk you that like somebody who's so heavily invested in Pokemon ripping through tons of product and like putting well, I guess this is where like I need to step back a little bit and like get out of my comfort zone where understand that sometimes it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think Steve's like 40 or something, mid 40s, but so he probably wasn't really into Pokemon that heavily, cards at least as a kid, or
But
at that age.
This is where my faults come through, where I need to like step back a little bit sometimes and be like, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, yeah, no, I definitely had the same thought of like, well, you've never seen the Japanese cards, like,
Yeah, I think I dive so far down the rabbit hole where like you go down the rabbit hole, but then at the end it's water, and then you go deep and you like start drowning. And you're like, oh no, I gotta like make my way back up. I think I'm like drowning at this point. So
well, at least you're aware of it. That's good, I guess.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm just trying to swim back up. At least I'm still in the rabbit hole. I'm just drowning at this point.
So I had him sign a few cards. I had him sign a Naked Misty, I think, and then like the Evolutions from Jungle.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was about to leave, because he saw this binder and thought it was cool, he points at me, he goes, What are you doing tonight? You want to hang out for a little bit?" And I'm looking around like
at this point.
Yeah, I'm like, nothing. I was just gonna go back to my hotel and go to bed probably. So it was just like, yeah, whatever, I'll stay, I'll hang out. So everybody left. His like assistants and people all left. So it's just me and him in his house at this point. He takes me into his studio room and starts showing me all this cool collection stuff. And then he just started asking me questions. He wanted to know about Pokemon. Like, where'd you find these
happier that he was asking the right guy the questions that mattered.
Yeah, and it was he started pretty basic, like, where do you get Japanese cards? Like, what kind of stuff do you collect? Like, what's like, what do you want to buy? Like, what's the cool stuff to buy? So we got on his computer and I started showing him Yahoo Japan, went through some of the trophy cards that were
You
available.
didn't show him just like easy stuff like buy. You went right to Yahoo Japan.
I went through Bai, so he could understand it better. And yeah, I think I showed him like a tropical wind. I showed him Trophy Kangaskhan because I had one at that point. I showed him
SSB.
I did not show SSBs because they just like at that time you never saw them. Now they're popping up every couple months, but showed them the Pikachu trophies like the 97, 98 ones.
Mm-hmm.
And
you gave him the history lesson though.
Yeah. I get like I was like, this is why I'm buying them. This is what they are. And told him like you need to buy this stuff. Like you have the money. Like, I wasn't shy. I was not shy about it at all. I'm like, I'm happy to like source stuff for you, if you need help, and I can
do it yourself.
Yeah. But I'm showing you also how to do it. So yeah, I told him like buy everything. Here's an Illustrator for sale. Buy it. Like it was a few
Which
$100,000.
one was it, by the way? The Illustrator.
I don't know which one it was at this time.
You know what the grade was?
I know the grade of what he got when he
9?
finally bought it. He got a 9.
Okay.
But the one that I told him
narrows
from
it down a
before, it wasn't the same one because like a bunch had sold in 2020, 2021.
Which is crazy how many of those sold at the time.
Yeah.
Knowing how rare they are.
Every time one sold, PK Ono would put another one up. And there's still one up. There's still one available. So
one day I'll do a live with PK, or not with PK Ono, but with like, let's tell the backstory of how you could have every single trophy card that ever existed. And how did you get them? Because
I mean, I still don't think anyone truly knows what his story is.
Yeah, but the conspiracy theories are out there.
Those are fun.
They're more rampant than anything else.
Yeah. I haven't looked into that in a while. Those are fun. Conspiracy theories.
I would just title it like "Welcome to the Rabbit Hole," and then just go. Because he's had some fun stuff, man.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, it's weird because of if he is doing it the way people think he's doing it, his patience level and ability to not like flood is next level.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like 2020, you would have thought like he would have been like suckers, like just here it is.
Well, we did find out his name apparently, and we found out that he was a higher up at the Media Factory. So yeah, I mean we can dive into it now, some of the theories, but it's either all his or it's he's selling for everybody else, all his friends that were working there at the time, or there's a ton of different theories.
One ring to rule it all kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So Steve ended up buying quite a few trophies. He and between him and Logan Paul and Logic and some other people, I just realized that, hey, I'm going to take this risk, buy some trophies from Japan, get them graded, and start selling them because now I have buyers. So that was when I was able to recognize that opportunity.
Do you remember your first big purchase where? Because this is the thing about this hobby was even as recently as the last live we had on Friday. One of the things we talked about on that live was Pop Series 5 packs at $50. Mm-hmm. And I said, I never was in Pop Series 5 packs ever when it was worth buying, because even for me at the time, $50 was an extremely lot of money for the most ultimate gamble. And now they're up to $500, but even $50 and the pull rates at the time were,
140, 150.
Yeah, 40. Yeah, 40. So you're still talking like $2,000 to pull one. It wasn't worth it. Like I wasn't doing that. Right. And for me, dollar amounts are very relative at different periods of the hobby, right? Like $100 today for most of this hobby is like nothing. But $100 when you're talking about single cards 3 years ago, it changes the pool. 5 years ago, it changes. 7, 10, 20, 25. Like it just
It's
$100 today versus different timelines in this hobby. Like it changes so drastically. Like
mhm,
let's talk $100 in 2006.
yeah,
$100 in 2006 is different than 2012, 2016, 2020, 2022. So what made you so even at the timeline when you were looking at trophies and you were getting into trophies right before that real high peak, right?
mhm,
We're not talking little dollar amounts. The dollar
no,
amounts you're talking are still very high, right?
yeah,
Like in relative to the time.
yeah, and it's actually it's so disgusting to look at. I didn't grow up wealthy by any means, very comfortable life, but even at the time, 2017, like spending $1,000 on a base set box based off the amount of money that I made, living a traditional life of savings and paying off student loans and all this stuff, idiotic,
I'm the same way, man.
idiotic.
100%. Yeah.
Like it's concerning how comfortable people are to spend that much money for a collection piece when they don't, like collecting is for the rich, it's for the wealthy. it it is I like to put my collection value based off the amount of money that I'll probably make in my lifetime doesn't make sense.
Oh no.
It
We
makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Um
We just got an Airbnb for middle of next month. I was telling you before we started the live.
yeah,
Our Airbnb is like a decent amount of money. It's like 2 grand between like the Airbnb and the vacation and everything. And we had to
mhm,
like him and haw about it. Dude,
yeah,
$2,000 when I spend it in this hobby, it's just like Tuesday.
right.
It's
That's
it's
yeah,
it's such a disgusting way to think about it, right?
yeah,
Like
and it's
it makes you sick
definitely
if you really were to pull back and think about it. It's like you
yeah,
him and haw about this, but then it's one purchase on a random auction because it was a good deal.
right.
You don't
And
think twice about it.
unfortunately, I let that bleed into other aspects of my life. So like I started balling out a little bit with
Uh,
food and my hotels and all that stuff. Um, which is not smart to do. You got to keep your but so yeah, it's but definitely like even to today, I'm still like looking at dollar price differences at the grocery store when I'm buying a card for 10 grand and not thinking anything of
yeah,
it. Like
yeah.
it's wild. It's wild to think about. It's kind of psychotic, honestly. Um,
That's a trait I've noticed throughout the hobby, though, that everyone I
yeah.
really talk to all have that same sort of mindset to it because it's almost like being a value
Mhm,
investor in a way, in a weird way.
I guess.
I don't even know how to explain it. I can't like equate it.
uh-uh.
So I mean, people out there are gonna listen to this and be like, I can't relate. And probably good that you
Yeah.
can't relate. Like you're probably doing better than us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a scary game, man. Like people only see the results. They do not see the stress leading up to it. They don't see the sweating when you spend 10 grand on a card from Japan and hope it shows up at your doorstep
Yeah.
with zero buyer protection, zero
So
insurance.
so I didn't cry, that would be a bad word, but I was like super upset. So a sandstorm sealed um box of theme decks sold tonight on eBay
Mhm.
for $810 sealed. The 8 theme decks sold for $810. I was a buyer of that theme deck. I went to my buddy's birthday party. He just had his birthday today and I missed it. Just no alert on my phone, no nothing. I
Yeah.
had it in the back of my head. I was like, I'm gonna go on eBay. I'm gonna buy this sealed theme deck case. And I missed it. And I'm like super sad that it sold for $810. But I just told you, like, we him and hawed about a $2,000 trip
Yeah.
in a couple weeks from now. Like,
And it's like 800 is nothing.
yeah. And on a random Friday in July, that means nothing, right? Like, what does this
Yeah.
mean in the history of my life? It means nothing. It's
Right.
just so weird. So
Yeah.
weird.
It's a dangerous thing, but it
It's
it is
dangerous.
yeah. And yeah, so my first ever I think my first ever trophy card that I bought, like big trophy card, was a Trophy Kangaskhan. So
Remember the grade?
yeah. So Swolepoke and I were doing everything together. So a lot of credit goes to him for pushing me in this direction. We're actually like really taking the step and buying it. I always loved trophy cards, dived into it like historically and learning about them, but swallowing that pill and spending 5 figures on a card was insane. So the catalyst was actually opening up the first edition base set Charizard that I did with him and at Frank and Sons in the beginning of 2020. It graded a 9.5. We ended up selling it for a record price at the time, $12,500. And that allowed me to get the funds to buy a Trophy Kangaskhan, which was it was a PSA 7.
Oh, so the lower end of the Kangaskhan's.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of 8s and a lot of 9s out there.
Yeah. And I paid 16,000, something like that, for it off of a Japanese website.
It
It
was
wasn't
already graded though, PSA though.
yeah, and
You don't
it wasn't
find the
through,
PSA grades on Japanese websites that often.
no, it was very weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was a legitimate website. It was like a store. It wasn't through Bai or Yahoo Japan. Um, filling out the shipping form was concerning, but this website was just very good with their customer service and spoke English just fine in the email. So I I sent it. I sent $16,000 in hopes that this card would arrive to my house.
Yeah.
And
Scary though.
yeah, the most nerve-wracking thing ever. Um, but it showed up, it got there quick, and I ended up flipping it on eBay. Actually, I listed it on eBay for like twice for like 35,000. And I think I ended up getting 30,000.
Good for you. Yeah.
And immediately after that, there was another one posted, a raw one that looked fantastic. That was $20,000. So I was like, all right, made enough profit, got this money, let's buy another one. So I bought another one. This one was from Magi. So I went through a whole new route with this. I had to like go through their middleman world shipping program, whatever. Cost an extra 10% on top of that. And I got the card and it looked beautiful, and it graded a 9 with Beckett.
Congrats.
I started grading trophy cards at Beckett, oddly.
Just you thought you could get a better grade, or just was the market at the time or the turnaround times or what?
I just like appreciated the fact you could get subgrades. And when it came to a really high end card,
You felt
in,
people wanted to know.
yeah, yeah. And it, it definitely worked at the time. I don't know if I think it all came back to nobody wanting Beckett graded cards anymore and just switching it back to PSA. But yeah, it was just like an opportunity, like little niche opportunities like that I saw too, of like, oh, I have the only Beckett graded trophy cards, so it's can be unique to someone's collection too.
Yeah. And it's
And yeah,
easily identifiable too, knowing the 9 Beckett, you know.
yeah, exactly. And that was it. That was when I fell off the deep end of, like, after I did that, spending whatever amount of money just didn't phase me anymore.
Keep going though. I'll be right back though.
Yeah.
I can listen.
Okay. So like that was like one of the biggest purchases I ever made, 20 whatever $1,000 with the fees. And it graded great. So I was very excited about that. And almost immediately after, almost immediately after that was when somebody sent a PSA 10 to PWCC. And it ended up selling for 150,000. And then immediately after that sold, Scott sold one that was just like a buy it now for 150,000 on his eBay or something. And then within like a month, I had a buyer, I think at 80 something, like 84, 85. And that was the biggest sale I ever made. That was like the Trophy Kings Con itself was like the biggest factor in me being able to have funds to continue doing this, because this was the Trophy Kings Con is really what like led the push for trophy cards to get awareness out there.
It got a nice push from Scott though.
Well, no, it started with my sales, my smaller sales,
You think you
and
started it though?
then the PWCC auction.
Yeah.
That was the catalyst. That was the
There was like 2 drastic sales though that sold.
Yeah, I was just
Like,
saying it was back to back.
yeah.
So this is when I was actually streaming all the PWCC auctions for E4, and we would be in Discord with like 60, 70 people, and everyone would pretty much just listen to like Scott talk. And yeah, the PSA 10 Trophy King went on auction, sold for 150, and then it had to be like 3 minutes later. Scott's like, "Oh, mine just sold." And he sold one for 150. It was like a buy now. And yeah, that right there, what happened just like completely changed everything. Because that's what led me to selling my Beckett 9 for 80,000 or whatever it was.
Congrats, man, by the way.
Thank you. And yeah, because that was just like, all right, everybody was making up prices, as they still kind of do today. Was all right, PSA 10's 150, PSA 9's 100. So all right, Beckett 85, great.
And then that's when you're like, you know what, probably should have went with PSA on this.
Well, no, even that, like, it didn't really matter because it was like a $60,000 profit in like 2 months or something. It's just astounding. I was like, that's how much money I made in my job last year, my salary. Like,
yeah, right.
What
like
is happening?
Yeah, 60 grand to
yeah. And that was it. I was like, all right, I need to do something now in order to get more of these trophy cards. And I linked up with Enlightened Bulbasaur, and we started buying just like and selling as much as we could. And yeah, that led to the play promo Umbreon and Espeon that we bought and sold, destroyed that market real quick.
Yeah.
that upset a lot of people, actually.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that when you said that.
Yeah, a lot of people got upset at me about that, which is just astounding to me still to this day. Like,
it's this thing though. So real quick before I get into that, for everybody out there watching this video, we got 79 people watching. I wish it was 69, but that's okay. We got 79 people watching. Listen, if you are not subscribed to Radar's channel, Drew, one of my mods, just dropped the link to Radar's YouTube channel. Do me a favor. Pause this video real quick. Hit that link. Give them a quick subscribe. Come right back here. We're going to keep talking. Don't worry. You're not going to miss anything. You can 2x speed this. But no, it is funny that you said that people do get upset when cards that have the illusion of maybe like super rare or not being sold when they do hit the market. Yeah, like people do get upset.
Well, because
that's historically the way it's always been. And we talked about Birdman on like last Friday's live. He's known to message a lot of people back in the day and be like, dude, don't mess with the pops, like,
yeah.
So that's not like a super like new thing that's just now happening. This is a very historic thing that's happened forever.
Right. And this was a thing, again, like I was doing very consciously. I saw this opportunity where there could be someone in the hobby who was very public about everything they did. And I was a little bit ignorant and probably too positive in my way of thinking. But that was kind of what allowed me to grow my brand, was the fact that I was transparent about almost everything I was doing. I was definitely being a little bit of a hype beast with the trophy cards, showing them off, bragging about it. And to me, again, it was a really, really cool thing to own personally from like a collector standpoint. And then it was just also something that I felt like the hobby needed to at the time was transparency, because there was there's always been big collectors with these really big cards, but they've always been secretive about it. And you know, I think at this time I wish I was more secretive about it too, because it's just like for your own mental health, like it's just easier. But
Yeah,
it,
people ask that all the time. They're always like, "When are you gonna do your collection video?" And I'm like, I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I just felt like it was important that the greater Pokemon world, as it was booming, got to learn about this stuff because it deserved a lot more attention. And then yeah, people got mad at me because the prices went up on cards that they weren't able to get in their collection. But
well, that's
that's not
yeah.
my fault. Like it's
Did you
what
hear what you said at the very end? It's the people that didn't have the chance to get it for their collection, because it's this real fickle thing we live in, Radar. The cards that when you showcase them and people start to realize they exist, it's such an obviously like glaring thing. It's
Mhm.
almost as if like a hole busts through your ceiling and the sun shines down like in a cartoon, where and then God's voice is like,
Yeah,
oh, there's so many cards that exist that are exactly like that, where the plays are so glaringly obvious,
yeah,
but sometimes people just don't know they exist. And I think we get so wrapped up in our own rabbit hole or whatever you want to call it, where something exists. Like I could say a card to you, and you'll be like, "Yeah, man, like, duh." But you say that to the 83 people watching or whatever, the 1,000 people or 2,000 people that will watch this live, all said and done. Well, what happens if you talk about a card that only has a graded population of 40
hmm
and 2,000 people watches it? And then you're like, wait, 2,000 people watched it. Maybe out of that 2,000, 100 of those people want it, but only
hmm
40 exist in graded form. Now you got 100 people fighting over 40 cards, when maybe before that you only had 40 people fighting over 40 cards, or
right,
50 people fighting over 40. Where if you went from 50 people fighting over 40 to now 100 fighting over 40, you inadvertently doubled the population of all the people in the world fighting for that card. Like, that's a thing. Or you could do like Champions Pass Charizard V promo card, and then you got
yeah,
20,000 people, and
yeah,
that card still sells for $40. I said
yeah,
40,000, $40,
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I'm not yeah, I don't consider myself an influence in any way. I don't think like the market just played out the way it should have been. Like it's just how it goes.
I think
And
I
so
have
yeah,
my PSA submission. I've been so slow to submit this.
you better hop on it if you want the $18.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing the 18. It's just so I showed this card real long time ago. It happens to be in my submission, but you know what this is, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
the
secret
box
rare.
topper.
Or oh, it's a box topper. That's what it's
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's the only secret rare of the set, and I compared this card in a PSA 9 to the Charizard from Dark Darkness Ablaze in a 9. They were
Mhm.
both selling for 149. So this card in a PSA 9 was 149. The Charizard from Darkness Ablaze in a PSA 9 was also 149. I said, guys, listen, this card is a box topper, gets shook around in the box. Like, you get a lot of weird like edge wear on this. Like,
Mhm.
this card is like pretty mint because I found it, whatever. This card is going to be graded far less than the Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze.
Which set is that from?
Legend Maker.
So you need what, 10 grand or whatever to get one?
So to get one. And then you need to grade it. and
Yeah.
then you need it to not get an 8. It needs to get a 9, and then you can
Yeah.
make $150. Like, you know how ridiculous that is to think? I think this has a graded population of 40,
That's it.
something like that in a
Jeez.
9. But now think about that. Like, how many EX Legend Maker boxes are going to be opened
Right.
from now to 10 years from now? How many Charizard VMAXs are going to be graded from now to next 10 years? I think we're already probably at 15,000 of those cards graded.
Yeah.
I think the total population of this card is like 200 ish. I could be way wrong. This is where like
It's
you
not.
start to,
It's not over 1,000.
yeah, something like, or maybe 300. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll go high in 400.
Right.
But it's just crazy to think of. And then this is a Pikachu. It's a Delta species. He's a steel type opposed to electric type, which a lot of
Yeah.
people like Delta species. Like, I talked about this card and I compared it the next day. This card had a buyout on eBay.
Really.
At the time, I had like 800 subscribers. Buyout.
That's the thing. It
ESA
takes
10s
one
for this
person.
card sell now for like $1,000.
Yeah.
Meaning I made one video one time, and the prices for this card in a 10 never retraced never retraced to the prices I talked about. So that means in a historic aspect of this card, I might have, again, I talked about this card in a 9.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 10 prices, but this card has never one time since I made that video ever retraced in price. What does
Wow.
that mean?
I mean, I guess it really just takes only one person to. There could have been more than 10 of those available raw or whatever online, right? So I don't know. I guess.
Not in high quality. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
how many people are opening EX Ledge Maker boxes?
I mean, I know there's more of that box than others from that era, but
No, no,
you're
no.
not
Not about sealed, because who cares about sealed? Who's opening it? Because you need the
right.
card opened to get
Well,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
You'll get a couple hundred in the next 10 years, maybe.
maybe. I
Like
mean, and even then,
that's
somebody
on the
was
high end.
box breaking that shit and selling packs, and like, it's got to
Yeah.
be yeah.
Yeah, no one's making money on that set doing box breaks. Nobody wants the gold star Reggie Ice. So that's wild. I mean, like just hearing that makes me think like even at 150 or whatever price is at now, it's probably a little bit undervalued. But I'd be more safe in thinking that the VMAX Charizard will go down in price before that goes much higher.
But
So,
like, that's the thing too, where the market, how crazy the market is.
and it's you got to be careful with that always too, right? I mean, it's a supply and demand thing. There are a
There's a lot of demand for
significantly
modern.
there's a significantly higher demand for modern because it's what people know. It's a matter of knowledge. Like,
But what happens 10 years from now? 10 years from
yeah,
now, what card outperforms? If you said that Charizard VMAX in a 9 or this card in a 9, which card outperforms 10 years from today?
yeah. Out like single cell versus single cell, it's probably going to be the Pikachu.
I would say
But
10 years from now, in my opinion, again,
yeah,
this is not financial advice. Like,
but like overall though, the Charizard's going to blow it out of the water.
like look at the centering on this card.
A little bit off right to left.
No. I think it's pretty good.
It's hard to see, but
I don't know. I think it's good. Like, minty. I bought this card pre-graded by some crappy grading company. I cracked it. Gonna send it to PSA. Like,
I'm running
the
out
other-
of cards to crack. Basic says fossil will outperform today's modern.
I see TCA join the chat.
What's up, Rusty? Did Rusty ever complete his complete set of VMAX
Climax? What a crazy thing he tried to do was complete a modern set. Good for you,
yeah.
Rusty, man.
I've been opening it too on my lives. I don't
Yeah.
know if he needs anything, if he needs like a donation, but I've been pulling crazy stuff from it. It's been great.
You got any big hitters? Dude, have you seen so speaking of modern, you seen the newest?
What, the
Okay.
Lost Origin? Did it?
Dude, the Lost
I did.
Origins looks like it's gonna be a crazy set. Yeah,
This is
I
the
love the
big card, I
Mimikyu.
think.
Yeah, that you know what that card reminds me of. Go back one. Uh, what is it? That's a Japanese promo. You know what I'm thinking, right? Yep, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I've been meaning. I'm probably gonna open that so I can grade them.
When you get, yeah.
Yeah, save it for a video or
So what
something.
else is in there? There's two cards in there, right? There's
There's
what do
it's
they
all in
call 'em?
Japanese. I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually made a play on that Pikachu in there, and I wish I went way harder. But I bought a bunch of the Pikachus from that when it first came out. Bought like 10 of them for $90 a piece. Most of them graded 10s, and I just kind of slowly sold them. And that's like a $800 card or something now in a 10.
So Rusty said he's gonna get there. No donations. He's not cheating. Dude, Rusty is just a crazy man at this point. Just take the donation, finish your set.
I'm thinking I might have to, like, since I've been opening a bunch of it now, I might have to like challenge him and see if I can beat him. Because I've got 80 bucks. Yeah, 80 boxes left now.
I think, yeah, he got a pretty decent amount.
I'm not sure how many he's gone through so far, but yeah. That's wild. Rusty's a madman.
Yeah.
He's for the people.
He is ironically for the people, man. I think people there's some people we underestimate in this hobby, and he is one of them.
Talking about undervalued, Rusty is undervalued.
Yeah. If
I
I
want
could,
to
people
buy
always
stock
like,
in TCA games.
yeah, buy stock. Oh my God, you stole the words. I was gonna say, people always say, "What's a good investment?" I would say, buy stock in TCA. The
See
fact that you said,
like that's the one thing that I find value in with NFTs. Like if Rusty made a TCA gaming NFT that was a percentage of his company,
oh,
I
I'd
would buy it right up.
it would go to the moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
You probably would never get your money back because it would be shilled to the moon.
Oh my gosh. Well, if it was set up in a real way where like Rusty like paid out dividends,
Yeah.
profit sharing with
Yeah.
owners and stuff.
Where
Like
Rusty was like, this is how many uncut sheets I have. I'll probably live to be 85, 90, maybe 100 if I'm lucky.
that's putting a
But
lot of
when
faith
I
in him
die,
selling.
eventually all this shit's getting sold and everybody would be like, I'll buy that.
Yeah. I thought that would have been an interesting idea too, of like, all right, guys, I'm dropping in an NFT. However much money I get from it, I'm gonna buy a collection, buy cards with it, and it'll be shared amongst all of us. And then
See, that's that thing that I don't like. Like it looks good on paper, but in reality,
yeah, I mean, there's a
because
lot
you
of
have all
technicality.
these like, you know,
I don't even think there's a way to like pay. Well, you could like send crypto to their wallets of whoever owns it or something as a way to pay out profit sharing. But
yeah.
um,
So like people always
yeah.
ask about the liquid marketplace and stuff.
Oh
And the
yeah,
thing that makes me excited about liquid marketplace is the thought of how I can make that legit. It's not about the actual marketplace itself. It's
Mhm.
in my head. How could you make it legit? That's what excites me. And
Yeah.
I never get to what I think would make it legit to what they're doing. There's a lot of roadblocks in
There's
between.
a lot, and it really just comes down to I just don't think it can happen.
It-
Like the amount of
because you got to make money doing it,
yeah,
whoever's putting it on there.
yeah,
So if I wrote it, yeah, it's just if I put this up and I could sell this in a PSA 9 for 150, I'm not listing this for 150 because I'm just gonna grade it and sell it myself. I'm gonna
right.
list it for 200 and like you, you already you already messed up at that point.
I think the way is to like just take like one big card from each set, put together like an average price from 1,000 sales, and then buy and sell stock of it, and have some sort of tracker that keeps track of all the sales as it happens daily. And but it's not a bit like that's not a real business that's making money. That's it. So it will never work. I'm convinced it will never work.
It will never
I
work.
would
It's
I would
just
love for it
it's
to, but
yes,
it will
exactly.
never
Like
work.
you want the thought of it to work,
Yeah.
but
Buy shares of Pokemon, Nintendo.
just if you guys want Pokemon cards, there's a lot of Pokemon cards you could go out and buy.
9 billion.
You could buy them raw, you could buy them graded, you could buy a pack that you don't even know what's inside of it. You could open that pack, you could pull a card. You probably won't pull that card you want, but there's a possibility.
Yeah, you guys love your mystery packs. A Pokemon pack is a mystery pack.
Mystery packs, man. Crazy money made there. Like,
Oh my God.
the crappy mystery packs, there's so many people out there who just scam. This is the problem, right? Where I told you, like, how I said I dove down the rabbit hole and I'm drowning because eventually at the bottom I hit the water. Mystery packs is one of those things too, where there were so many people out there who scam people over mystery packs. It's
Yeah.
like a disgusting amount. So the actual good mystery packs, like, a very small group ruined it for everyone else.
What
They ruined it.
the groups that sell them at Walmart and Walgreens?
Well, no, the people that are like, hey, buy this $50 mystery pack. Here's your CGC 8.5.
Yeah, I did
Like,
that. I did not feel good about it.
you're a bad man for doing that.
It was fun. People enjoyed
It
it.
was fun, but not good.
A lot of people did quite well with it though. But yeah, I mean that's the name of the game with mystery packs.
But that's the thing. It's like, how do you separate that to
yeah,
like?
I found probably the oldest mystery box that has ever existed in Pokemon. I opened it. I'm still editing the video, but yeah, they've been running that scam since 2003.
Well, 2003, maybe you get lucky. You still get some things that are worth money now.
You would hope so. You would hope so. We'll see the video when it drops next week. Yeah, it's
Let's open up the chat now.
yeah.
So I've been getting a lot of stuff from people saying I don't pay enough attention to the chat. And sometimes it's tough.
When you compare mystery packs to the idea that you can just make a financially sound decision and buy what you want, every single mystery pack is a scam. But you're paying for the entertainment and the gambling, so it will always exist. It will always be around. You can hate on it as much as you want, but it's just a part of this world.
So, fantastic question from Mason Berry. How does it feel with the shift from being a brutally honest call out content creators to now being a moderate for such big name interviews lives? Does the past haunt you any? Mason, I'm trying to grow as a person, and I think that the viewer should know by now. I don't know. It is tough. It's a fine line I'm trying to walk.
Yeah, it really shows how good of a friend I am.
I'll give an example where I was definitely wrong in some aspects of this hobby. So there were a few people who had some stores that were pre-Pokemon boom, meaning they were selling product Pokemon be pre the boom. And when the boom went up, they increased their prices accordingly, meaning they were increasing their prices with what the market was dictating at the time. And I got upset over some of that stuff for the wrong reasons. I got upset at those people who were in this hobby, who were doing it and running their business very similar to the way they were doing it for years. But I got upset with them because I was watching everyone else who I felt wasn't in the hobby prior and didn't love the hobby and were doing a lot of their sales tactics for the wrong way. And that was when it was very hard for me to be able to differentiate those two people,
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like, if you, let's just say I went out or you went out or anybody in the chat went out and like grinded, got distributor agreements, started to build up their stores. And in order to build up your stores and get big allocations, so when the good products hit, the good products being like UPCs, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
When you get your UPC allocations, hopefully you could get as many as possible, right? Like Mason Berry asked that question. If his distributor said, Mason Berry, I'm going to give you your option. How many UPCs do you want? Mason would say, let me remortgage my house. I'm going to buy every single one you could give me, right? And
Yeah.
they would say, okay, whatever, if in that hypothetical situation. So the people who did that, who did the legwork to build up their companies, when I saw some of these people like charging high prices, it was definitely me with misplaced anger for a lot of it, because I
Mhm.
felt a lot of people were just in it for the pump and dump and they didn't care about the hobby. And it was very hard to differentiate the people that did care versus the people that didn't. And that's where I should have been a better person
Yeah.
to realize who was in this prior, who was doing this because that's what the market was dictating the prices, versus the hype dog people who just were trying to scam people. And it was a very fine line.
Yeah. I mean, I see that that's a very common sentiment that everyone goes through. And the way you spoke about it just now too is the next step to it. So you're gonna get out of that soon, I think. Um, it's just a matter of like, I don't know if it's maturing or just really coming to realization that this is purely a business. Like Pokemon makes cards to make money. Um, and people will find creative ways to make money as well. And yes, a ton of them will be walking a fine line of what's legal and what's not, but it's existed since the very beginning, since before Pokemon. It's existed in sports. Sports is what pioneered a lot of the mystery packs, the box breaks, all this stuff. It's a it's an aspect of the business, and coming to terms and realization of that and not letting it affect you is a very big it's a difficult point to get to. It's also a little bit of soul crushing, to be honest. I mean,
Well, yeah.
there's a lot of things that I learned in this hobby after being in it for so long, from you know people that I looked up to, or um and coming to that realization of the business aspect of it, and it just kind of crushes a little bit of that purity, that love of what Pokemon is, the collecting side. And
Yeah. So
yeah.
there was a point where in 2020, I had well, it wasn't 2020, it was actually like early 2021. I had my local game store, and it wasn't really like my super, super local game store. It was definitely a game store that I felt like I frequented a lot, but
Hmm.
it wasn't like even on a monthly basis. It was like semi-yearly. Like I would go there once in a while. And it was always a place where I would buy my penny sleeves from, because he sold penny sleeves, 100 penny sleeves for $1. And I would give him $1, like an actual dollar bill, and he would
Yeah.
give me 100 sleeves. But I would also buy cards from him too. And his prices were always very competitive. Like maybe they're like 50 cents to $1, but it was always like very competitive to like whatever the true MSRP was. And when the craziness of Pokemon picked up, I went in there and his penny sleeves were still $1. But like all his other packs had gone up crazy. Like I remember at the time I walked in, he was selling Battle Styles 3-pack blisters for like 19.99, and I knew the guy, and the guy, I thought like maybe we had like a friendship between us, like because I've been buying from him for years. We've talked about cards forever, and
Hmm.
like he was always very nice to me. Never wasn't. And like I was just like, this is really weird. Like, why is this price so high? Because I wanted to go in there and buy. And like, if that pack was 14.99, like I probably would have bought it, or 15.99. I could have went to Target down the road, got it for 13.99. But he like got super defensive, and it like kind of destroyed our relationship in a way,
Yeah.
because I was But like, this is the huge problem I might have made too, where during that story, during that entire relationship, I was always the customer, right?
Mhm.
I was never his friend in that
Mhm.
entire relationship that we had.
I've
I
done
was
that a
never his
lot.
friend. I was
Yeah.
always the customer. No matter how much I bullshitted with him,
Mhm.
he was just doing his job, right?
Yeah.
But like, that one interaction over a 1999 Battle Styles 3-pack blister, like, destroyed a relationship that I built with this guy in my head, which, whether it exists, and you know what? Maybe if 2020 never happened, that Battle Styles blister, that conversation never would have happened. And maybe he did enjoy conversing with me. I don't know. But like,
Maybe
we
it's time
just
you go back.
yeah, we just ran into this weird time in this hobby where you almost felt like there's a part where you have loyalty to a person where you're constantly going back buying from them, and it only takes like one time
Mhm.
for you to feel wronged, whether you were actually wronged in reality or not.
Yeah.
But
I've had that same fault with store owners and stuff like that too.
but
It's
how do you like relate that into words that make sense where, like, at the end of the day, people would be like, "No, man, you're not his friend." But
mhm.
like, how do you go back and talk about like 4 years of conversing with a person over? And it's not like you want. This is a comic book store. This isn't like a game store. This in where I grew up in the Northeast, like, comic book stores are the big thing. Like,
Mhm.
when you walk into a comic book store, there's usually like some people going on, like, coloring figurines and stuff. But for the
Yeah.
most part, like, there's nobody else in the store. You're normally the only person in there. So it's
Yeah, it's a maturity thing. I mean, I still struggle with that, but again, you got to look at it from the other person's shoes. They're running a business, and there's a lot of different aspects in that business that require them to be a certain way. Like I was talking about it yesterday in my live on how after the Pokemon Go boom, when everything slowed down and people weren't buying, you could negotiate with sellers. You could offer them cash and get a hefty discount on a deal. And it all changed once it picked up again. Everything started flying off the shelves. The smart businesses were the ones that put their prices at a price point that either match market or allowed them to retain inventory. Because no matter what, if you're a business and you sell everything out and then you don't have inventory in, you're gonna kill your business because you are gonna lose customers
100%.
because
But this
someone like yourself who is a reoccurring customer,
but this is part of
instead
me
of
having to grow too, you know?
right, like
But
instead of being upset about that conversation of the battle styles blister, you would get
which is
upset about them not
stupid to
having
think back
inventory at
on,
all.
right?
Yeah,
Like, that's
it's
so
ridiculous.
stupid. It's just such
Yeah,
a stupid thing to think about. Like, what is a
but
battle styles blister? 13.99, 12.99,
yeah,
Got mad over like $6. It's just such a
yeah. My childhood store,
pettiness.
which is where I got the majority of my stuff early on, who I actually did a podcast with him. He was the store I went to as a kid. He was the store I went to when I got back into it. I was the only person buying Pokemon from him when I got back in because it was slow. Like nobody was into it. I was buying his boxes. He did not have big buyers, none of that. Things started to pick up again, and other buyers came in to buy these things, legendary collection boxes that he had, base set boxes. And I got upset at him for selling things to other people when I've told him, like, look, whatever you sell to these guys, I will pay $100 more. Just call me. And I think there's a little bit of like of him being older, but and quite forgetful. But it just took a little bit of me realizing like this guy can't survive on me. He needs more than one customer to run a business. And it just makes sense that he would, build out his customer base. Like that's just a logical thing for a business. Um, But I would get upset when he would sell a box, like he sold a legendary collection box to somebody. And I was like, no, that was for me. Why didn't you hold on to it?
Yeah.
And but yeah, I grew up from that. I mean, it's
But yeah. And
but yeah,
I think where like it really boils down to is I'm a very personable person. You know, that's why I do live stuff like this. Like I
yeah,
used to once upon a time, like try the right in chats, try the right in E4 and stuff like that. But it's just forget about it, right? Like
yeah.
what you're gonna write in a comment section is just gonna get lost or get misconstrued or whatever. So it was just like that personal person to person type conversation that we had.
Hmm.
But it was always maybe separate myself from the customer to a friend, but
Yeah,
I would be interested if I went in there like tomorrow, right? Which maybe I will do.
you
You know,
should.
it's only a couple towns over,
Yeah,
but like what if I went in there tomorrow? He probably doesn't remember. Well, first of all, he wouldn't remember like what he said because it's silly, right? But I
yeah.
bet you we would still have like that good conversation and
Hmm.
I'd spend the dollar extra, $2 more, whatever he's charging for his blisters because it was never cheaper than Target, Walmart. Like he always
Right.
sold for at or a dollar more. Like it was never cheaper, but it was
Well, he
never
was.
like I said,
Yeah,
1999. It was never that drastic.
yeah.
And I'm
He was
sure
probably
it's
buying
right.
from Target
Yeah,
recently.
I'm sure it's back to the same today.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I went back in, it would still be like this great conversation. But like this is what I'm talking about, like me needing to grow as a person.
Hmm.
And I don't even know how we got on this conversation, but
Yeah,
I need
neither
to
do
go
I.
get more beer. So Radar, this is your live right now.
All right, chat. What's going on? TCA. You don't have to, you don't get to have it all. You got to share. That's right, Rusty. It was a fault of over competitiveness. Um, but yeah, that's like a really important thing is like, sure, you can hear these stories from us and kind of understand it, but you won't truly learn from it or grow from it if you don't experience it yourself. So like you have to go out and do this stuff. And I was the same way as PK. I would attach an emotional side to my relationships. I did it with some of these bigger names that I dropped earlier. Like I attached a real relationship with them. And then when something happened where I wasn't contacted anymore with them or like doing any more deals with them, I took it personally, but it wasn't personal. It was business. Like again, I'll just Steve Aoki again. The dude does a live show once a day in a city across the country. And it's like he's just busy. People get busy. People do things. You can't get upset at them and think it's a personal attack. Well, Rusty, that card store that I was talking about where he was selling boxes is where I got the gym challenge box that I sold you a long time ago that has the corrected Charizard in it, which I still have to this day. Still have.
All right, guys, for everybody else out there who's ever asked me, best way to start a YouTube channel, find yourself a good guest who you could walk away from the camera for as long or as short as you want, and he'll just keep the stream going, no problem. That's a secret. That's a secret recipe right there.
That's a secret.
Radar. TCA said, Radar, you don't get to have it all. You got to share.
Yeah. To this day,
Was that Gym
I
first edition or was that unlimited?
it's unlimited, but it has the corrected Charizard in it.
Oh, okay. So
I
that's nice.
that's something that I'm
That
very
Blaine's
proud of.
Charizard is
Yeah.
that's a spicy meatball there when you get the corrected one.
Yeah. I sold Rusty one for $1,000 because I noticed he needed it in his box collection when he posted his like a long time ago on YouTube. Rusty posted his collection for sale at like $500,000 and went through all of his booster boxes and said, I have every single one. I found a case of Gym Challenge Unlimited, realized that it had only 2 country codes on the bottom, and it was different than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the theory that, oh, this is a later print. It definitely has to correct the Charizard. Um, I sold one to Rusty with that theory, but also the fact that it was a different variation. He needed it for his collection, but ended up opening one years later and pulling the corrected Blaine's Charizard. So my theory was right, and I was proud to discover that.
And
But
Rusty still owns that?
probably,
Probably.
I'd assume
Probably.
so.
Rusty with his booster box variant collection.
Yeah, but that's the first box that I ever bought for my collection. I paid $500 for it, and I have never sold it. So
Do you
people,
have a distributor?
I do, yeah. Back in the day, I got set up with, and I don't know why I haven't used them. I still have an account, like Potomic something. I don't know how to pronounce it, Potomic. Um, but then I actually got set up with PhD through MetaZoo, actually.
Oh boy.
Which no, it's worked out fantastic because I can get Pokemon now. So if I didn't get if MetaZoo didn't happen, I would not have a distributor. So I love MetaZoo. Thank you.
Hold on, real quick. Old school Pokemon just joined the chat.
What up,
Can
Nick?
we call out Nick for where the hell were you, Nick, on Friday? We tried to get you in.
Probably on a boat somewhere.
Ah, doing Nick things. I got real lucky. I went out. I was you know where Nick lives. I was in his state, and
Yeah,
we met up for lunch. So that was a pretty cool thing.
yeah. I spent a lot of time uh up in the Northeast. Um, for a while, I'd go up there. There's a comic book store in New Hampshire that I bought a few boxes from, and I think
Oh,
he
okay.
still has a case of First Ed Fossil, but he wouldn't sell it to me after I bought the other three because I think I made too much money off of them.
But yeah, I met up with Nick. I was doing a project like I don't know, like an hour away from his house, but I had to like pass his area to get
Mm-hmm.
back to my place. And I just out of the blue shot him an Instagram message and we met up for lunch. That was a lot of fun. I signed a Steam Siege blister for him. And I
Ooh,
said, Nick, I'm going to
special.
give you this because I want to give you the most meme-ish thing that I could possibly give you. And a Steam Siege blister is the most meme-ish possible thing.
Yeah.
And he loved it, obviously. Like the meme is better than the actual
Oh, yeah.
product.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I remember when just like after college, you have friends that move around the country to whatever jobs they get. And you're like, oh, sweet, I can go visit. I have built such an amazing relationship base with my friends in Pokemon that I can go to just about anywhere in the world and have a place to stay.
Dubai.
I can go to
There
Dubai.
you go.
I can go to Qatar. I can go to Italy. I can go to Japan, anywhere in the US. It's absolutely incredible. Like, that's the most amazing thing about the Pokemon community is how just like you connect on something like this and you're just immediately comfortable with like, oh yeah, sleep on my couch. Like, come hang out. Come get lunch. Come get coffee. It's absolutely incredible.
So I did some resealed packs. Uh this guy Alex, he just really wants to know what was in it. Alex, just send me a message on Instagram. I'll send you one. How about that?
Oh, that was you blew my mind with that video
Which one?
where you predicted what was in the packs.
I made a lot of reseal videos on this channel. You got to be more specific.
Oh,
Was that the 3-pack blister?
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I know you're a whatnot guy.
Yeah. Um,
I wonder
I,
if
I didn't understand your correlation to that specifically.
yeah. Well, I watched.
Because that's so much work. Like, from a personal standpoint, someone that would do that,
I
I
watched.
I guess, but
Yeah, but I was watching one. Um, where it was a bounty, and they were doing what I was doing the whole time,
yeah.
and their bounty was like, it was Darkness Ablaze, and they had two bounties for it. It was Darkness Ablaze VMAX, but it was also, or sorry, Darkness Ablaze Charizard VMAX, but it was also Darkness Ablaze Charizard V.
Yeah.
And they ripped through boxes,
Yeah.
and they were selling 7 packs at a time, which 7 packs for a bounty is a lot.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
the
I think
prices were going stupid. Like
yeah.
7 packs, it was like 150, 200, and they were just killing it. And I was like, okay. And they kept saying, okay. They would put the booster box on the screen. They're like, we're gonna open this one, and they throw it off. We're gonna open this
Yeah.
one, throw it off. And I was like, if I was gonna do a bounty where I would just scam for, and they were still pulling every other VMAX, and like that's what
Right.
people don't realize. They're like, well, I still saw this VMAX be pulled. It wasn't a Charizard, but it was a VMAX. It's like, you don't understand how scams work, people.
Yeah.
So I watched that, and it got to the point where I stopped watching it. Like I never bought one, but I kept watching people rip it. And I was just like, if I was going to do this scam,
This is
it
how.
was like, it was
Yeah.
like scene for scene the way I would do it. I couldn't tell you if that's what they were doing.
Right.
I could just tell you if I were to do that, because now when you're talking 7 packs of Darkness Ablaze for $150, why would people do that? Well, there's a lot of freaking money to be made there.
Yeah.
So
It's yeah,
and
it's
then,
still
but this
go
is a
ahead.
problem, Raider, at the very end. When they did want to finally give the weighted pack, it would only have taken for somebody to have my friend bid on it, right?
Right.
So maybe my friend bids $500 or
Yeah.
$400, so at least enough to win the auction. And then I pulled that Charizard VMAX, and then all the things that I made as a bounty, because they were adding to the bounty.
Yeah.
Adding, so like in the background, the bounty kept getting bigger.
Yeah.
So if I had my friend win the bounty, I just keep all that shit to myself. So
Yeah.
so I made the video the way I would scam,
Mm-hmm.
just as a warning.
Right. Yeah. I think it's obviously still the wild, wild west in this
'Cause
live
it only
shopping
takes
world.
one person, right? Radar. Like you
Yeah.
could have, if you had a 1,000 people, and 999 of those people were the best people that exist in this hobby who would never scam once.
Yeah.
Well, what about that 1 out of 1,000 who's this fucking scumbag?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And yeah, I am a consultant with them still, and just to have that public for everybody. I always say it whenever I talk about them.
so when you watch that video, were you like, uh-oh?
No, I completely
You knew how I
understand.
did it, right?
Yeah. And
Which one?
the one, it was a 3-pack blister, right?
Oh yeah, the Vivid Voltage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it
Um,
happens quick, right? And you remember I put the stopwatch in the background
yeah.
because
Yeah.
people were
Well,
thinking I
how
was
long did it
stopping
take for you to
videos.
prep? How long did it take for you to prep that?
Me?
Yeah.
6 minutes.
Oh, really? That's
I'm crazy good at that stuff, man.
yeah. Yeah, it's still a wild, wild west in the world of live shopping. There's a lot of things that need to be moderation that needs to be put in place, but it's a whole new avenue of e-commerce right now. So
Because you only have one camera, right? So it's
well, you can do two. Well, now you can integrate with OBS now, so you can do as many cameras as you wanted, but it's on a phone, so you don't really want to do any more than two. They did, as mystery packs grew and whatnot, they did implement rules of like everything has to be on camera. If you can't be swapping things out, if things get, if there's any suspicious activity, like you're gonna get in trouble for it. But it's so hard to moderate that, being a startup and kind of being the leader in that industry right now. So
so where my concern came from was, in order to make those rules,
yeah,
bad things need to happen.
yeah, and they definitely have, and they've taken the right steps to ban sellers and to recuperate losses for buyers, the best that they can. And yeah, you have to be careful with this. Like, you're only buying on a live shopping platform for entertainment purposes. Yes, there's definitely opportunities to get like steals. If you're watching a show with like 5 viewers, you can buy, like, whenever I go live, I don't get many viewers anymore because it's gotten so like big for the everyday streamers, that stuff that I sell goes for dirt cheap. Like whenever I do a vintage break, come watch it. You'll get packs for nothing. And yeah, it's just it's a new era. I mean, eBay obviously just did their first one, but they didn't do live auctions. There's all these other startups coming out. So yeah, there's a lot of policing that needs to be put in place, a lot of rules, regulations, but it'll come with time. You just got to be careful, be smart about it, and try not to get too attached to the gimmicky gambling games.
Mason keeps saying I'm turning into OJ, meaning I keep saying like, I think OJ wrote a book. It's like, I didn't kill my wife, but if I did, this is how I would do it.
Yeah.
And Mason keeps getting me with that because it's like
That's
every time
hilarious.
I talk about resealing packs, it's like I don't resale packs, but if I did, this is how I do it. Dude, that's the worst part of scamming though. It's like to scam, you got to put yourself in the scammer's shoes, man. Only way you're not going to get scammed is to put yourself in their shoes, man.
Yeah, no, that
Doesn't
was
mean
something
you're
I
a
did.
scammer. It just means you realize it. It's just like show bidding or anything.
I my microphone switched. What is this?
Yeah, it switched. That was a crazy switch too.
Oh, is it back? Are we good? Why does it keep switching? Do I sound fine?
Yeah, you sound fine now.
Okay. Yeah, like really early on, I took the route of wanting to start collecting sealed boxes and stuff. So I did everything that I could to learn about reseals, and I took it upon me to try to reseal packs myself so I could learn as much as possible. It was a very important thing, I think, is if you're gonna get into something like that. I mean, thankfully it wasn't as expensive back then. I could buy a base set pack for $15, $20, open it and do whatever. But that was one way that I tried to learn on what resealed product looked like, felt like, smelled like, whatever. So
Yeah,
you got to,
it's like the
it's important.
blisters. Does it smell like fucking bacon? Does it smell like cookies?
Yeah. So I think it's an important thing for people if you're gonna do that. Or if you're just gonna
You know, it's
or you can just buy from
well,
trusted
it
sources.
yeah, it's like trying to explain to people. It's like, what's the difference of so people will be like, how do I know if this is resealed? And I'm like, you need to reseal a blister with super glue and feel how crunchy super glue is. And you need to reseal with a glue stick and realize that you're out of shit luck. You know, like the difference between super glue and glue sticks, people will be like, what are you talking? You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
but I can make maybe that will be my most successful video if I'm ever just like, this is how you reseal a shit, and people will never know.
Yeah. You got to be very, very careful. And like even buying from trusted sources, where do you think your trusted sources are getting products from? Sure,
Well,
they
you got
can
to
like
ask him, what are you going to do? You're going to message every person, say, where'd you get this from?
exactly like sure, more experienced people can vet out some of the resealed stuff, but like especially old timey stores that have people walk in that want to sell a resealed base box for 50% of the price, they're just gonna like take it.
The problem with resealed packs is the difference between glue and heat seals, right? Big
Yeah.
difference. People that
Yeah.
don't know the difference, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Heat seals, the best reseal. Only problem with heat seals is most of the time it's going to flatten out your crimps.
Mhm.
The good reseals have figured that shit out. You know,
Yeah.
they know how to make the crimps come back, man. It's not hard. Like,
Yeah.
there's a way to do it.
It's a scary business, man. It's like I have a base set box I bought from Heritage. I think about it almost every day. Is it like I mean, I've done all my checks. It's fine, but I could open it. It could be not and not be fine. So
Yeah.
it's a
That's why
scary world, man.
I was a little hard on one of the resales from like that expedition box. But again,
Yeah.
I watched the video and I'm like, holy shit. If I resealed this thing, this is how I would do it. Like I
Yeah.
would do it the way they were opening it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that's what they were doing. I'm just telling you, if I were to do it that way, I would have showed it that way. And, you know, I'll pull stuff off screen and do stuff, you know, like where maybe they won't. because I'm going out of my way to show. Jacob Rodriguez
one of
says
those
PK really has his scammer stuff down.
one of those fake expedition boxes actually saw in person, but I didn't take the time to look at it. I wish I did, so I could have seen if
Yeah,
there
you
was
don't
anything
know. I
weird.
mean, it would just be like whatever. Let's say I came to your house and would you just fill that Jim
Yeah,
Heroes box? If
yeah,
you're like, hey, look at this Jim Heroes box, I wouldn't examine it to the
yeah,
length that it would tell to tell you it was resealed or not.
right.
You'd just be like, I'd be like, this is awesome.
Well,
Congrats.
yeah, and like, well, the other thing too is back in the day, again, things were cheaper. If
Mhm.
I ever bought boxes or packs in a lot, I would always open one and see. Like sure it cut into profit, but like, hey, I just bought 10 base set packs from a random guy on Instagram. All right, let's open one and see if it's legit. So I would open one. I don't know if you can really do that now because the numbers are so much bigger, but that was always an important thing for me. That's why I don't buy as much sealed product anymore, because it's so much money and it's so hard to trace, like if it ends up being resealed.
People are all saying like if PK was a villain, let's be honest, we'd all be screwed. Yeah.
Well, this is his goal, guys. He's going to build up a YouTube account, get to 100K, and then cash out.
100K, huh?
100,
That's a pretty lofty goal of my
100K subs and then scam every one of his viewers.
I'm very far away from. I wouldn't scam. See, that's the thing. I wouldn't scam anybody. No reason. Stupid. That's how you just destroy your rep.
So you destroy your life.
People forget Rattle is the co-host of my podcast. I am one straw on the camel's back to destroy myself. You think Rattle hasn't done his background check on me? You think Rattle doesn't know where I live? Trust me, he knows. Let's see.
What other questions we got?
Dude, Rusty posted a photo of me in his story. What is going on?
Did he really?
Appreciate you, Rusty. Appreciate Nick Old School Pokemon too. Radar, what do you think
Nick.
the chances we could get old Nick Old School Pokemon on?
Very high.
Yeah?
He'd hop in for sure. Yeah.
Nick Old School Pokemon, what are you up to, bud? Seeing how he really shafted us.
Whatever happened with the Logan Paul base box? I don't know. Did the other guy end up paying back the money? Or are they still in court or what? Rattle hasn't done an update in a while.
I talked to Rattle about it like privately, and he says there's a lot going on, but like just not enough to make a video.
Yeah.
How do I see if we can get old Nick Old School Pokemon?
I gotta grab some water. I'll be right back.
Yep.
Oh wait, you said Rusty posted a picture. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, no. With this is the thing about resealed packs and resealed booster boxes and resealed cases and all this stuff. We talk about it all the time. We'll probably never stop talking about it. Guys, the people who should be verifying your stuff probably won't verify it. The people that will verify a lot of this stuff should not be the ones verifying it. And I don't know if we'll ever get past that. And like in my head, I have this hypothetical situation, like scenario that makes sense where people could verify booster boxes. Like I honestly believe I have a system in my head that would work. The problem is the second somebody puts their name to it, they're going to just do that. They're not going to give you any monetary value to it. They're just going to say, I give it the okay. But if this thing ends up being fake, you're still on your own. At the end of the day, you're on your own. Just like BBCE. BBCE will verify a sealed case, or in some cases, verify a sealed wax box that you could open and take the cards out and stuff. They'll verify it to be real. But if it ends up being fake, it's just a verification. There's no financial guarantee that comes with that. And I feel like if Pokemon ever does do that, it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah. And like, even if you're BBC, like someone's going to figure out a way to make the wrap and just reseal it with BBC wrap. Like,
or you do that. Yeah.
it just goes on forever. I've always thought of like, all right, we'll just do a radar wrap on boxes. I'll open up boxes, make sure there's 12 heavies, make sure that everything looks good, and then I'll seal it in a radar seal. But like, tying your name to something like that still is just idiotic. And I mean, I learned that really early on, like especially with when it came down to the first edition base set. These big name legendary collectors will never put their name attached to a first ed base box. Sure, they'll look at it for you and say, point out a few things, but they will never say this is 100% fine. You're good to go.
Or even a Shadowless Green Wings Charizard box. Like,
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
Never. It's if you have somebody that is 100% guaranteeing that a box is legit, that's the wrong person.
But there is a way you could do it. But this is a problem too, is you're going to have to, that half a cent cellophane wrap that's on your box. It needs to go like this, opened. That is a huge hurdle for a lot of sealed collectors. We get so wrapped up in the sealed collector thing.
Yeah.
Which okay, this is for me personally. On the highest of ends, if so, Logan Paul opened Rusty's box, right? That was verified by Rusty. Ended up having 2 Charizards in it, by the way. Like, let's not forget this, people. But if Logan Paul is like, hey, PK, you get 2 options. You could have one of my sealed ones that is probably real, or the one verified by Rusty with, tamper-proof seals on that Rusty put on this box. 10 out of 10 times I would have took that TCA one, and I would have probably made out because I would have got the 2 Charizards out of that box.
Yeah.
But I would have never questioned that box, right? Where the other one, while I might not have questioned it so much, there would always be like this thought in the back of my head, like maybe this is fake.
Yeah. I feel that way about my unlimited box that I got from Heritage. And the thing is, like, yeah, it's cool sealed, but it's also really cool open, like it's on display on a shelf or something at a store, and I can see all the packs. So, like, the whole idea, like, I get it. I went through that of like, I want everything to be sealed, the original seal, all that, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also okay with it now.
Let me ask you. So this is something I don't hear enough people ever talk about. What if opening it by a reputable person, again, this is going to be somebody putting their name to that. If a reputable person put their name to it, could it bring a premium in that sense? Assuming that box was being bought to be opened, I guess, or even held. I don't know. This is so confusing.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean,
this is tough.
I think if you did it in a way that was like, that looked nice, sure. Like, again, if I did a cellophane wrap with my logo all over it and was able to build a legitimate brand behind authenticating boxes and doing that, I think people could charge a premium for that.
Well, it takes one box where somebody sends you a box to test you.
Yeah.
And then you fail.
But the only way that it would work would be if I had a financial guarantee stamped on it. Otherwise, why pay a premium?
Yeah.
You're paying a premium for the guarantee. That's all it is.
But once you have that financial guarantee, then you open yourself up to people testing you. I can make
100%.
so much money off of a financial guarantee. I'll tell you
Exactly.
right now, I'd just be like, how much you're going to guarantee this fucking expedition box? 20 grand? Let's
Yeah.
try it out.
Or just be a
Then what do you
scumbag
do?
too and like say it's fake and make a video on it.
Yeah, or you fake the video
Exactly.
and then how do you prove it? You're like, that video's fake, PK. I know how you did it. I'm like, no, you don't.
Well, that's the thing. Like you'd have to create a pretty seamless process of the authentication, like filming the entire process of doing it. It would require opening up the box, um,
Multiple cameras.
multiple cameras, weighing everything out.
It'd be a
And
lot, man. It's not like I think
it's
people out there watching this think
not a
it's an
smart
easy
business.
thing. No. We
Not
went
a
on a
smart
tangent about resealed stuff, huh?
business.
All right. Questions from the chat. Questions.
Let's see.
How's your overall experience been selling on whatnot? Would you say positive, negative? I mean, I'm sure it was a lot
Oh,
better at the beginning.
yeah, extremely positive. I mean, it's I was there really early on, so in the beginning it was fantastic. Um, being able to be a part of that, and then but yeah, as things have grown, like it's really like a streaming platform now. So if you're not on there every day growing a follower base, you're gonna have a tough time. Like you have to put in a lot of work now to build up a name for yourself on there. So it's a grind now, and which is great from from their side of things as a business. Um, but it's just it's definitely a hurdle for a lot of new people. Um, and for myself personally, like I said, I avoid all the gambling aspects of things. Um, I'll just buy whatever I see value in, and I've had plenty of instances where I found value. Um, but yeah, selling on there's fun. I mean, thankfully, I have a little bit of special treatment with it, so when I'm breaking a vintage box, I don't have to worry so much about you know making a ton of money on it. Um, but yeah, it's been fine for me.
TCA said he would have no problem putting his name behind boxes he bought personally directly from distributor. Yeah, that's an easy
Well,
one.
neither would I.
Which
But
could also be a play,
but
which
no, again,
sounds crazy.
it all comes down to the person after the fact trying to scam you. Like I agree with that statement. Like this gym challenge box, I got it directly from a case that the store had directly got from his distributor. He had the receipt and everything. And I've even opened a box from the case, right? So like I'd put my name on that 100%. But it comes down to who's getting that box later in life that's looking to take advantage of, look to destroy my brand, my name,
Yeah,
or
destroy it. That's the problem. It's
that's
like,
the issue.
it yeah. It's this is I wouldn't do this, but it would be like if I was like, Rusty, do me a favor. I'll give you my address. You send me a product that you think can't be tampered with, and then I
Mhm.
fucking tamper with it, and then I open it on a live stream, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Like
Yeah.
PK was scammed by Rusty, blah blah blah, and it's like, and me knowing the whole time, it's like, no, this is just prove a point
Yeah.
kind of crap. It's like, yeah, like you're talking about the worst of the worst
Yeah.
options, but again, you take 1,000 or 10,000 people, you might have 9,999 people who are good people. It just takes that one shitty person who just ruins it for everyone.
Yeah. And
Dark Lava Lizard said, what are some of your favorite old back promos and high-end Japanese promos you're chasing? So I'm gonna let you answer this, Radar, while I go pee. Because
All right.
I don't go after Japanese promos. Some of the point nope, I don't go after Japanese promos. Not officially.
Some of my favorite, actually, they're not old back. I was gonna say that JR Rally promos, but those aren't old back. Just because of their tie-in with Super Smash Bros. They're my favorite promo set. Old back promos. I think I think like the idea of the Daisuke Club and the fan club and the play promos. Play promos are new back, but fan club and Daisuke Club, no, is only fan club is old back. So like the fan club promos where you can like kind of, it's a set in itself. You can chase the different rarity tiers with it. And those are always fun to like put together. Vending series, top of my list. I think vending series is one of the greatest and easiest to obtain. Um, high end Japanese promos. If I can ever afford it, I'll just buy all the trophies.
What do you think about like old school Japanese like gold star promos, came in tins shit like Pikachu?
Oh, the Pikachu and Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Nah, don't care for those.
You ever seen any of the tins sealed?
No, I've never looked.
Yeah. That's like one of those things. They're always fetch a premium. I think
Well, that's the thing
I want to
too.
say Nick opened a couple on his channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think like recently, like last 3 months, he probably did.
Like there were so many like little gimmicks to get premiums on stuff that I just don't care about anymore. I used to get 25% premiums on booster boxes that I took out of cases because they were mint condition. And I just don't care about that anymore. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure there's still some buyers who would love that, but a box is a box. Like, and it comes down to a sealed tin like that with the gold stars. I'd rather just have the gold stars out of the tin,
Yeah. I'm
you know?
becoming less about the sealed premium. I cracked a bunch of the Charizard and Pikachu, the promos from Walmart and uh what is it, GameStop, just recently.
Yeah.
I had like 10 packs per box, man. I have so many extra packs right now. I have like a box of packs that I don't know what to do with.
Sell them on
Just
whatnot.
to get the promos out in order to send it at $18 grading.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can't imagine what it's like for like Rusty or
oh, it's gotta be. I mean, look at the comment TCA just wrote. Chasing no rarity PSA 10 Zard. Like, I mean, when you get to that level, it's like, oh, that's a chase.
yeah.
Dark Lava Lizard says he has it in a 9. You have a no symbol Zard in a 9. Good for you, man. That's an expensive card.
Yeah.
Lair 39 said, Radar, what's your favorite country and city you've ever been to? Dubai?
Um, honestly, it's Tokyo. Dubai, Dubai was awesome. Um, I went in the middle of COVID, so it was kind of dead. But there's just like this atmosphere and feeling in Tokyo that is quite unbeatable. Um, like the people there are just so nice and respectful, and there's such a huge variety of things to do, and it's beautiful. Tokyo for sure. Dubai, if I went to Dubai with some friends and balled out, yeah, Dubai would be crazy fun. But I went there alone, went golfing, just explored things. It was awesome. But and you could do a lot of cool stuff that you can't really do in other places. But it was yeah, definitely Tokyo.
How long you want to go for, Radar? You good to keep going or?
Yeah, I'm good for a little bit longer. I'm getting pretty tired. Everyone keeps bringing up the wine from last night. I'm exhausted.
The only one that's drinking in this live. I'm gonna
I'm
keep.
not. I don't drink very often, and I drank a whole bottle of wine last night, and all that sugar just like I've had the biggest headache today.
All day.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's a long hangover, man.
yeah. Well, it's the sugar. It's not like it's the wine hangovers aren't fun.
They're not as they're different. They're different type.
Yeah,
And wine's a different type of drunk too.
yeah. Will Dubsy ever do a face reveal? Probably. Um,
He's gonna do a reveal next month on the PK,
on the PK.
PK and CTR and Rattle podcast.
No, I did. Yeah, I got to spend
What
some
about
time with him in Dubai.
I
Mr.
think we get
Fuji introduced me.
Mr. Fuji on maybe.
Yeah, he loves doing these things.
I think he'll be on.
Tap into the Zelda face tat. I took that off as soon as I I got off the live.
Mm.
TV bores you, Rusty? What shows do you watch, Rusty? What show on TV would you turn on or have watched in the past? Do you watch The
TCA's
Office? Do you watch
TCA's running up that hill right now with
Stranger
Stranger
Things?
Things.
I I haven't spent enough time with Rusty to like really get to know him. I cannot picture a single TV show that he could sit down and enjoy. And didn't you guys just go to a Luke Bryan concert like 2 months ago?
I just love that Rusty's just such a a normal dude. He
Yeah.
doesn't know. He doesn't know like I guess maybe it's we get trapped in this community, right? Have you ever been noticed in public other than like obvious events?
I don't watch The Office. What do you mean?
You ever you ever get noticed
Oh,
in
get
public
noticed.
like other than obvious events like a collecticon or stuff like that?
Um, at stores, yeah.
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 Wow. I
Yeah.
always wonder if TCA would ever get noticed. He must get noticed a lot.
Well, he hasn't really done many face reveal things until recently. So, and he lives out in the woods, in the boonies, in the woods. So I don't think there's too many people that travel near him to recognize him.
Yeah. I should
I,
have asked Nick that. Maybe next time he's on the podcast, I'll ask him.
I'm gonna do a road trip to Rusty's. I'm gonna make that happen. I need to go shoot some
Rusty could
hoops.
turn his house into like a pay museum where people pay to get in. Like forget consignments. It's just like people. It's like Field of Dreams. You remember that scene at the end of Field of Dreams where they're
Yeah,
like, if you build it, they
it'll
will
come.
come.
That's
Rusty, he's built it, and then they will come. Ugh.
No, it's one of the most like consistent things in this hobby is the way that people feel and respect TCA gaming because it's so well deserved. It's it's amazing. Him and Charlie and Rusty are the two most consistent people that I know that I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, I like to listen to Charlie talk.
I did a podcast with him a long time ago
I
and
watched it. Yeah,
never followed up on it, but I'm
is that
really
the only
close to
time you
Charlie.
ever really talked to him like in depth like that? No.
No, I talk to him almost every day. We play
Yeah.
Fortnite together. I spent a couple nights, or was it just one night at his house? Like I've spent a lot of time with Charlie. Charlie and I are close.
Yeah.
He's
I-
a great guy.
I've never talked to Charlie personally, but I've always wanted to know. This is where you get into like the weeds. Like, I know CGC brought him on as being a consultant and everything.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that believes that CGC didn't listen to him.
Oh, probably.
And I
I mean,
believe that if I asked him, Charlie would be like, I gave CGC good advice and they didn't take it.
I mean, I could say with my experience with like Whatnot, I gave them great advice and things, but it was also um a completely different animal than I knew how to run. And when these companies bring on Pokemon people as consultants, as whatever, um, they're still working within their own direction path, and they can't just like take our advice and word for everything. So there's been things that I like, advice that I gave Whatnot a year ago, like a year and a half ago, and they haven't. And at that time, it just didn't make sense for them. They finally like implemented some of those things later on. Probably the same with Charlie, where who knows? I have no idea what kind of deep,
I don't know. This is
and
all speculation.
yeah,
I don't want to like speculate too.
yeah.
I don't know him enough
But
to.
just from my experience, like I would assume very similar with him, um,
I
like
feel
or
like
with
his
anybody.
advice would be simple. It'd be like, if you're gonna compete with or compete with PSA, don't give everything 8.5s. Don't do
Well,
it. Like just
I'm
just
yeah,
don't do it. I feel like that's simple. It's like, you don't gotta give everything a 10.
right.
Just don't give it an 8.5. Like if they don't
Yeah,
ask for subgrades, don't give them 90% 8.5s
yeah,
because it's probably going to be bad for your brand.
yeah,
That
and
would be the simple advice.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's a CGC publicly traded, or are they private? I don't
Couldn't
know,
tell you.
but they have a whole line of board members and owners and a whole bunch of other employees that they have to talk with and consider all these things. So um ideally, when you bring someone on as a consultant of some kind, you'd hope they utilize you as much as possible, or listen to you as much as possible. But also, like, the advice you give isn't always relevant to the direction that they want to take. And yeah, yeah, who knows?
So we got a lot of people in the chat right now. We got Dark Lava Lizard. School Pokemon was here earlier. Fresh Tat, Pokemon Collector. Good to see you, man. Pokebay. I'm just looking at the bottom of the chat. Probably should scroll up. Does CGC really give out more 10s now? The numbers are saying they do.
Oh, TCA is a Duck Dynasty guy. I used to watch that too. I loved Psy.
Pokebay says, yeah, I chopped it all off. What does that mean?
Cut his hair.
Hmm.
I don't know what Pokebay looks like.
Me neither. Sorry, Pokebay. But if there was like a, so what are your collection goals at this point? How are you able to separate like the collection versus the business? Because that's what you are at this point, right? You've
Yeah,
already set up like what, an LLC?
yeah. I did an LSU a long time ago. Um, as soon as I went full time with it, everything was for sale. Um, there's a few things that I've never listed, but everything was for sale. Everything at a price point, and technically still does. I just, things like my Super Smash Melee, I just like won't list it anywhere. But if someone came to me, like offered me a certain amount of money, I'd take it. Um,
CNG, if you're out there listening,
he, me,
send radar offer.
yeah, me and him talk about Melee quite a bit. Um, yeah, my collection, like, if I like were really to break things down and be like, I don't ever want to sell this, I want to keep this. My collection's quite small. Um, a few graded cards, a couple binders, and then like the gym challenge box.
So
Um,
sorry, Pokebay
yeah.
is Rusty's nephew.
Oh, really?
Should we get him on the live
I don't know.
and just get all the super secret information about Rusty?
Let's get that'd be funny. Inside scoop on Uncle Rusty. But no, it was always a struggle from the beginning, separating that stuff. Uh, I don't really have collection goals because I can't afford collection goals. There's Z and G, but I'm in the process, hopefully, of finding a job actually, because after a lot of talks with Charlie and others alike, the capability of Pokemon being a wealth building tool has so much more potential in my situation versus running it as a full-time business. Um, looking at how everything played out with, in a sense, being lucky with being in it early, you're kind of running out of that inventory of that I had from 2016 and 17. And when it comes down to buying things now and selling it later, you're not making that much money. Like, you have to do a lot more work. And instead of doing that, I think it makes a lot more sense to spend my time working like a real job and just doing this on the side again. So it's kind of, I'm going to treat it as like a cyclical wealth building tool. That's until I find some sort of new avenue that makes sense. Because when it comes strictly to cards, you're not making that much money. Like, a lot of my money that I made sure came from the stuff that I had from a long time ago, but I was getting paid for multiple consulting gigs. I was getting paid for consignments. I was getting paid for what little ad revenue I had. Like, there was so many more streams of income that were coming in that allowed it to make it, make it a viable, like, full-time business. So I went through all that for a while. I know what works. I see what works. And if I can get myself to that point again, then I could entertain that full-time thing for a much longer period. But without taking that leap and trying it out, I never would have learned it and understood it. So,
Who do you think was the most successful though?
what?
Who do you think was the most successful person doing that crossover? When you
What,
think about it,
quitting their job and going full time?
not even that, just like the whole whatnot route and everything. Going kind of your path. Do you think anybody was super successful?
I think Charlie kind of pioneered it as being the first collector really to like get a corporate type position as a Pokemon expert with CGC. So I think Charlie's been very successful with that. I honestly don't know of too many other people. I know people are on retainer with other companies like PSA and Heritage and all that, but a lot of those people really keep it to a minimum. If I had kept my head down and stuck with whatnot, I think the success from that would have been astronomical. At least on paper right now, they just raised Series D with a valuation of 3.7 billion. So I think if I had stuck with that route and like went all in with whatnot and did that whole thing, that would have been a very successful venture. It still is. But I don't really know too many other people that are doing stuff like that.
Yeah,
At
I
least
can't
on
think of a lot.
like on
Benny.
this, yeah, and like on this, like, I guess the level's the wrong word. Like, there's obviously people that went to go work for whatnot and are doing great, or people going to work for Rare Candy, like Alec Pokemon. What's up, Basic?
How's it going, Radar?
Good, man. Like
I'm
Alec,
glad you got your sailing fan still going, basic. Did you have to turn it on for this video?
No, I actually I saw your link super late. As you know, I'm over here at Domesticated Animals, so I'm doing dishes and doing other things, and then I look at the phone and I see a link. I'm like, oh, okay, all right.
Basic, before we even started the chat, we talked about you. So
yeah,
Wow.
you're the one person that I remember meeting at like at an
Rainhardt's
event.
Pop Shop.
At where?
At the Pop Shop.
At the pop shop. Okay.
Well, I met you at Collecticon, but
Yeah,
like before that. But but PK was like, "Do you remember meeting me at Leonhardt's?" No. I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, we had already had quite a few meets. I mean, pretty much every single Collecticon at the national.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty. Which, by the way, are you going to this national?
Yeah.
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 I'm making a last minute decision to go to that
Cool.
one. So.
Yeah, I'll be driving in each day. Saturday should be going with Rev and Ryan. So
Oh, nice.
That'll be fun.
So Sean Harrison said, any tips on how to justify spending money on Pokemon cards to my wife as we are expecting a child in November? Should I buy everything now? TCA said, drink water at restaurants. Good advice.
That is good advice.
That is actually really good advice.
And it's
You'll
healthy.
save nickel and
Yeah.
dime, man. That's how you'll save money.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing a discussion we had beforehand. Once you have a kid, I don't have a kid, but once you have a kid, everything gets put second behind that. So I'm sure you won't be thinking about that once.
Alex said he would pay to go to the TCA museum. I would also pay to go to that museum.
Yeah. See, Rusty's one person that I need to spend some time with to really like have a full circle of knowledge. Because I mean, outside of like, I've had some discussions with Pratt a few times, but Rusty's the one guy that I haven't really sat down with, really talked to about like the world, the business world of Pokemon. So he could complete that circle for me and maybe really like figure out exactly what path I could take for a successful business. And like the thing is with this full-time Pokemon, like I absolutely have a successful business. I can run it and continue it, but I just have a lot greater goals and expectations that it's just not enough for me. So.
Yeah. Speaking of Rusty, if he, because I know Jake has mentioned that he wants to do some sort of a museum, and I think Rusty already has a museum at home. And whenever people say like, "Oh, there's hangers of X product of this," that's what I think Rusty has. I feel like he's just in the middle of nowhere, and in the middle of nowhere, there's just hangers of his inventory. That's all I picture.
I've heard stories, I've seen some pictures, but I'm excited to see it for myself one day. So I'm definitely going to make that happen soon before I leave New Jersey.
Yeah, Basic, you're far from Jersey, man. Dirty Jersey.
Yeah, I was closer. I came down from Wisconsin. I'm in Texas, so I'm not complaining. I know a lot of people here complaining about 108-degree weather, but I'm loving it. Coming from Wisconsin, I'm loving it.
It's hot everywhere, man. It's 100 degrees in Jersey too.
So Basic, you are in almost every single chat, every single Instagram I see. I don't know how you keep up to date with it, how you have the time, but let me ask you a question, bud.
Yeah.
You notice have you noticed a pullback in the hobby, or are you still seeing it being as strong as it was? At least from the social aspect of it, I should say.
Oh, social aspect?
Or just the social media.
Okay, so social aspect, social media, YouTubers. From that standpoint, I would say yes. I think across the board, right? Especially some of the big hitters, but even across the board, you have seen a little bit of a retrace as far as like your daily. I don't know. Really? You guys are the YouTubers, not me, right? You guys are the YouTubers, not me. But as far as the metrics, maybe you'd be able to see a retrace. I remember back when Leonhard, brought his video out right before was it right before or right after the pop-up shop where, he was pretty much, drained out and getting exhausted and he wasn't getting the numbers. And it kind of seemed like that was the consensus across the board that, people just weren't getting or YouTubers weren't getting that same retention that they were before. But that all has to do with hype. That's just logical, right? I mean, even I got to say, 2020 was an exciting time, even for myself who never sold. It was an exciting time regardless, just for the hobby. So it's just kind of natural that, some of those folks that were in it just because of the excitement and the money that was involved and all that good stuff, a lot of that portion has just left the building. And the people that you still see here today are the people that you saw 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when you guys, were just starting out Radar, when you had your podcast on. I mean, I was there every freaking time. Those were amazing. I mean, I think you pretty much you were one of the first ones, and I'm trying to think of who might have been, theirs. I know there were a few, but you were one of the very first that brought out that podcast feel to the Pokemon hobby, and it was just amazing. I mean, you know me, PK, I could sit down and talk for hours. We can break records here. But as far as like overall, I do feel that it's lost a little bit, but that's just because the people that were here just for the excitement are gone.
That's interesting to hear. I haven't really thought of it looking at the Pokemon like that. We were supposed to talk about the changes in the market. I don't think we talked about that at all.
Oh, I think the title of the video was the ups and downs. We just ignored the shit out of that.
Yeah, like
I think we talked about the ups and downs a little bit.
well, like just from things slowing down, right?
Yeah,
I barely sell anything right now.
But this is, I don't know. This is where it gets super, super convoluted in this conversation, is the ups and the downs. We're coming from the ups of ups, right? Like, you can't get any higher than where we came from. So when we talk about the downs are so relative to the history. But it's possible that there's some cards that are at the lowest they have ever been. But when you look at the majority of the hobby and the history of the hobby, like even the downtrends of some cards are still strong in comparison to the history of the hobby. But history is a subjective term, right? Like if I say something is down, if you only joined this hobby in 2021, you might be like, oh my God, this is 100% or 100% is a bad word because that's not possible. 50% loss. But if you join the hobby in 2019, you're like, it's a 50% gain, right? Does that make sense? Like you could, your timeline changes so drastically. Like 2021, you entered the hobby, 50% loss. You join the hobby in 2019, 50% gain. How do you balance that? Basic, what do you think?
I mean, it's very true. I mean, it always gets mentioned, right? If you bought anything before 2020, before the big C word hit, you pretty much were in the green with anything that you bought. As I always jokingly say, I bought Pokemon pencils and they went to the moon, because I bought them before 2020. And but I think that also tying back to the last, segment or question, even the viewers, if you look at viewership or if you look at just the hobby in general, there are probably more people in the hobby today that in January of 2020. Because COVID happened, I guess when it really became mainstream, March, somewhere in there.
Well, it was a little later, yeah.
Right. And Logan Paul didn't happen until October.
Yeah.
So of that year. So I mean, I would like to think that, as a whole, the hobby today is healthier, meaning in abundance, versus back in January of 2020 versus today. So I think even though people have left, there's still more today than before. And so does, that pretty much applies to the values as well, to collectibles. A lot of the values today are still a lot higher than what they were at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah. And I don't have the greatest memory, but I think there's quite a few things that are even lower than before that. So I'm not sure. I switched. I definitely don't have as much stuff for sale, so my sales have slowed down quite a bit. But one of the big shifts that happened with this huge change of the downtrending market is tons of people are running eBay auctions now, which no one ever did before this. So like Rusty's saying in chat that like his volume hasn't gone down at all. I think that's because he's just doing auctions now with his consignments. When if he matched that up with what was like buy it nows during the peak period, I'm sure it was about even. But yeah, all these auctions that are being ran now is an interesting new thing that's happened in the last year or so with eBay.
Yeah, and regarding eBay, I made this comment, I believe it was on Northwoods Live. I was in the chat, and I said, has anyone else noticed that if you're on eBay and you're putting something on your watch list, that typically now within 12 hours, or myself at least, again, speaking for myself, I'm getting offers from the sellers.
Yeah.
Whereas before, they would just, and again, this is my theory, they're like, oh yeah, okay, I've got another watcher. It's gonna sit there until I get what I want. Today is like, I'm gonna throw you an offer, buyer. I'm gonna throw you an offer so you can get it off my table.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the changes that I've seen on eBay.
Yeah. Dan made a great video. He said he had to go down like 80% on some of his auctions. And I had to do the same thing. After he made that video, I decided to go back and like look at some of my listings, and they were definitely like priced wrong for the market because of the time they were put. But something interesting that Radar kind of said was that Rusty hasn't seen his sales decline, or at least the
Volume.
amount he's selling.
Yeah.
And one of the very famous like quotes or stories I remember hearing is during like the gold rush of like San Francisco 49ers, so 1849. They always say that the people that made the most money during the gold rush were not the people mining for gold.
Yeah.
The people that made the most money were the people selling the shovels. And in a weird way, you could almost correlate that to Pokemon. Like, who are the people making the most money? In a way, it's the people selling the shovels. Are you the person selling the sealed product, or are you the person selling the graded slabs? Are you the person selling the consignment service? All that is kind of like selling shovels in a way.
Yeah, it's
Are you-
eBay,
are-
it's PSA, it's whatnot, it's TCA consignments. Yeah.
Those are
are-
the people making money.
Are you saying that the modern is today's shovels is the modern day shovel? I mean, I
There's
don't
a
know.
lot of
I
money
don't know
to be
the
made in
breakdown of
modern.
Rusty's.
Anybody that tells you otherwise is lying. But tread lightly.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that modern is very popular. Like, obviously, it's still very popular.
Of course.
It's just the
I
prices
just
have-
I made a video where I said Evolve and Skies. I made a video titled I sold all my Evolve and Skies booster boxes, and the next day reprint announced.
I mean, obviously, the prices have gone down, and I think that's a great thing for the hobby in general. But as far as like, you know, your inventory, your per item, yeah, I'm pretty sure that you're still setting the same amounts.
Rusty said, "Are you calling him a shovel seller?" What? No, Rusty. I'm saying you're the one making all the money.
Rusty
But-
mines for gold, he sells the shovels, he makes the shovel. Rusty does
Rusty's the one doing it right. But this is the thing. The amount of money Rusty's made people is insane. Like,
it all.
there's nothing.
And I'm not over here trying
Rusty,
to,
we're not giving you shit, I promise. Like, you are saving a
He's-
lot of people, a lot of time and effort, and saving people a lot of money too.
I'm very curious as to see what Rusty's like number one, you know, lane as far as sales go. You know, like what's his main
TCA 5.
squeeze? Is it modern? Is it, you know, consignments? I mean, I think I would say it's modern, but I mean, I really don't know. I'm curious to know what that would look like.
I don't know, I tried buying some Shadowless 9s that he was auctioning, but they went too high.
You know,
So I
the
didn't
one
buy
thing
them.
I never really asked Rusty any time he's ever been on this channel is I never asked Rusty if he's selling any of the high-end stuff.
I think Rusty
It's-
collects the high-end stuff.
He's
The
buying the
reason
high-
why I never asked that is because I would assume he would sell that all through his eBay. So we would probably kind of see a lot of that stuff.
Well, Rusty also bought some really big stuff at the peak of the market. Not to call you out, but
Well,
because I did the same. But like he bought his Shadowless 10 Charizard, I think, in like the 100K area when he made that video, or that's what I assume. So, but that's like a collection piece for him, right? And
yeah, that's the weird thing too, is the separating the collection versus the investing versus the selling. Like,
yeah, like he just did a video today about how he's collecting full alpha set of Magic.
which is
And-
that's a lofty goal, man. That's a lofty goal for anyone.
Right. And he's been doing it for 6 years, he said. And he's 30 cards away. And I've never seen him list a alpha card on his eBay or Instagram or whatever. So I, I think Rusty does a very good. Like, this is another thing that's like something I want to talk to him about too. Is that simple question of like, how are you separating your personal collection goals from your business, and also what are your intentions with this personal collection? Because there's a lot of money tied up in big cards.
Yeah. I I I definitely don't want anybody out there to think that like shovel salesman is a bad thing.
No,
That
without the
is
yeah, that's good.
that is a compliment in a way. Like,
Yeah.
You got to solve people's issues. You gotta create something that will solve society's issues today, and that's how you make money.
if I
Yeah.
if I could have the perfect job, I would be basic trainers, ceiling fan salesman, and
It
I'd
never
have all the
stops.
money.
Never stops. 108 degrees.
Yeah.
Do you even have AC?
I do, but I have it set at 78. Like I'm perfectly comfortable
You're a
here.
maniac. I think
I'm
my
I'm
AC
perfectly
set at
comfortable
72 right now.
at
Yeah,
night.
I'm at
At night,
70.
I have the chills. At night, I have the chills at 78 degrees.
Uh,
You might need to go to your physician or something and get checked out.
all right,
See, I love
everybody
that
in the chat
answer.
right now.
Rusty just
Everyone,
said,
let me know what your AC is set at right now. Because I bet you no one is set at 78 like a maniac, like basic training.
so Rusty's comment there gives me a good feeling that I might be successful one day like him. He has no intentions. He's just winging it all. That's what I base my life on. It's just winging it.
Just winging it.
But this is the thing. Rusty can never be in the negative. No matter what dumb or bad sales or purchases he makes, he's never in the negative. Like,
When
it
you
would be,
X,
it's like an impossible feat for Rusty at this point to ever do bad. He is so far ahead of everyone. Like, if this was a marathon, Rusty has finished the marathon. Then he completed the marathon again and he completed it again. And then you start,
Yeah.
it's an insanely just his sheets alone.
I just want to point out that there's quite a few 76 pluses, including like 378s in the chat. So I'm feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah,
I'm feeling pretty chill.
I'm surprised at this. I'm at
Amazing
70 all day
67
long.
degrees.
So TCA, that is cold. 67. Holy shit. That's like frigid.
That's what I do when I go to bed. I put it
Yeah.
to 67.
That's for the collection. That's to make sure that humidity levels and again, he's got a hanger, right? He's got a hanger, so he's got to make sure that he's got the right temperature.
We got Mr. House 26 said I'm on 78. Ooh, that's a sauna. We got a bunch of 78s.
I got the heat on.
Just open a window at that point at night.
No, it's still about 90, 94, 95 here.
TCA said we're shilling them up. It's TCA. That's all we do on this channel. We shill people.
Basic hatching eggs.
I love that on Rattle's Booze News. He talked about somebody put a comment that we're shilling up his Salamance, the nutritionaire,
Yeah.
but he just made it as a video. And then he said, this video is sponsored by this eBay listing. Like, you couldn't time that or like perfect.
So how many of those Salamans have you guys bought out altogether?
I said 55. I ended up buying like well over 70. I got one.
Wow.
So 1 out of 70.
Oh, so it's not every single one either. I thought it was every single one.
So they're all gone now. Like, can you even buy anymore?
No, I bought them out before we knew.
Yeah.
I was prepared. Rattle sent me a chat, was like, hey man, have you seen this error? And I was like, I never seen it. And then I don't know, 15 minutes later I went, hey, by the way, they don't exist anymore. I own all of them. And then they just all came to me.
That's funny.
But he shared it with me, which this is like part of just being lucky, right? And then I shared it with Rusty and I asked Rusty, I said, Rusty, have you ever seen this card? And Rusty said no.
How much did you spend on all 70?
like $240.
Oh, okay. And you got one, so you doubled your money.
Yeah, it wasn't about. I'm not selling mine. I
Yeah.
think it's cool.
I mean, if you only got one out of the 70 something, I mean, it's got to be
Yeah,
somewhere.
I bought all the hollows too, so I think it was only on the reverse hollow sheets, but I wasn't sure.
You got to buy out the
So
rest of the reverse hollows.
so I have a cradle, the one that he has, and I could see it in the card. So technically his is a one of two, but mine is so faint. I sent him the photo. I was like, dude, like you can't even see this. Like if you didn't know it was there, you would never see it.
Yeah.
So I think the way the printers just kept printing them, like it just got less and less as it went through.
What set is that?
Plasma Blast. But it's only the rare sheet, I think, because the Salamence was a rare and then the Cradle was a rare.
Yeah.
But it's weird that my Salamence is in exactly the same spot as the other two we found. Like you could line them up. Like the nutrition area lines up perfect.
Interesting.
Man, I really wonder how rare they are now. Then, if that's the case, so how many does Rattle have? How many did he buy? How many does he have? That
So
actually
he bought 240 reverse hollows and he found one.
Wow,
Yeah, and I bought like 70 and I found one. Well, 1.5.
that's
That's
actually
pretty
crazy.
cool.
Yeah. So we bought out all the rares, but they're gonna come out. So Rattle had somebody reach out to him, gave him one, but it's not gonna be an easy again. It's not gonna be an easy find. I was
Yeah.
thinking about express grading mine to PSA, but I
Why?
don't know. I don't know if it's gonna show through the case. That's a problem.
Oh, is it that hard to tell?
You want it in your hand. It's not like it's
Well, they
not
might dock it. They might not even grade it. I mean, look like the Hitmonlee errors. Like they're stained or whatever. I don't even think PSA grades them anymore.
I think it's a cool error. I think it's one of the cooler because
it's very
this is
cool.
why it's cool. Because how many more errors are going to show up that are 10 years old that no one knew existed?
Well, right away, what stuck out to me. So between you and Rattle, 300 plus that you guys bought, and only 2 from those, and then the one guy that gave Rattle one. You know,
Yeah.
I mean
Well,
that's
sent him a message, and it was a guy that had a lot.
yeah. Okay.
It wasn't like a Joe Smo off the street. It was like it was a big collector that sent him one.
Sounds like Charlie. Was that Charlie? Sounds like Charlie would have those.
Mason said, "Here we go, all the influencers buying out the market." Yeah, that's exactly what happened. We bought it out.
You buy them out first, then PK, you go, you make a video on it, just like you did Pikachu, and then there's going to be a buyout, and you just trickle one out, you know, a little bit at a time.
Listen, I'm human. If somebody sends me an error that no one knows exists, I'm buying out the market. I don't know how else to, because when he sent it to me, I was shocked because how do you go this long in the hobby? We're talking Plasma Blast. Plasma Blast is not a set that's sneaking up on people, you know?
Don't care about it.
Like,
Okay.
if people knew it existed, we would have known by now. That's how I put it. So when he showed me that card the first time and he was like, don't let anyone know. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I just went and bought all of them.
Speaking of influencers, I don't know how much that box goes for. I don't know what, a couple grand, 25, 3 maybe. But yeah, will it get to the point where all of a sudden that box is being bought out just to crack and get that Salamence? Forget the rares, forget the hollows. We want that Salamence.
Maybe.
Depending on how rare it
the
is.
riskiest of the risks, man.
Yeah,
I
I've
just
never.
told you I bought 70 of those cards. You're gonna crack a box and maybe get one if you're extremely lucky. First, you got to be extremely lucky to get one. But if you get I'll tell you what, whoever grades the first 10 of that card, lotto. But
Yeah.
grading a 10 in a black and white set, impossible. Grading a 10 in a rare reverse hollow in a black and white set, even harder. You know, like you're talking. I mean, that shit's bulk, right?
Yeah. I've never seen like the cigar arrows get pulled from a box or anything. So it'd be cool to see if someone would open one.
I mean, it's not whatever exists. I don't think we're gonna see more be pulled. And if somebody does pull it, good for them, man. But
Rusty just said it. It says, "You bet I consider buying the box just to go for it." There you go. There it is. If Rusty's doing it, why aren't we? That's the question.
Plasma blast or freeze, you said?
Freeze.
blast.
Oh. Rusty is the blueprint. So if Rusty's buying the boxes
Yeah,
too,
you can get a box for a couple grand.
It's a crazy chase, man. It's like the chase of the chase. But this is the thing about that, which I would warn everyone about, is we don't know how many exist. Like
well, that's why I was
know
going off the
3.
ratios. That's why I was going off the ratios. If you guys bought 300 and then some and only got 2 of them, just that alone gives you somewhat of a picture.
Oh, you run into this weird issue, basic too, where there's only 3 that we know exist. But what if there's more rares that exist, or what if more start to show up, you know?
Yeah.
Like for a card like this, when Rattles, I think it's currently up to $550. I promise you, a price tag of $550 will start to shake out like rare reverse hollows from Plasma Blast. Like that price shakes the market, you know? So the person buying that card could be super, super smart and like find a card that's super rare, or it could be the total opposite end of the spectrum where they buy a card that ends up being extremely populous. Like, yeah, I bought 70 cards, I pulled 1, but who's to say that that's really the true pull rate? What if the pull rate's like 1 out of every 20, 1 out of every 10?
Well, I can't imagine
After they
an
all
error like
trickle
that.
through.
It would have to be like one spot on each sheet. I can't imagine there being that big of an error for them to not catch.
I
So
bought out every single one that existed.
yeah, so just imagine how many Salamences are on a reverse hollow sheet and it getting hit once per sheet. How many,
And mine's
And how many
fainter
survived.
than Rattles. So
Yeah.
Rattles card is a darker nutrition error than mine, which means that other ones of mine must exist to get it to be lighter.
I don't know. If you would have told me 10, 15, you guys pulled 10, 15 of these out of the buyout, out of the 300 plus, I would have said, okay, then you guys only pulled 1 each out of 300 plus. I know that's not a lot. I know that's one
Rattles in the
data
hundreds
point,
he
but
bought, and I bought 70 of one card. I went hard.
Yeah.
But this crazy thing was I paid like 76 cents.
yeah.
So, but I
Yeah.
also, so this is a crazy thing too, is I told you I bought 70 of those. I spent like $240. If I only, in a hypothetical situation, only bought 69 of those, I would have lost $239, and I would have been the biggest owner of Salamances and fucking Plasma Blast in the world.
Yeah.
Like there was a huge downside there. I got very lucky that I got 1.
Mm-hmm.
But you pull out that 1 and all that money is gone. That's like 2 of Open Sky's booster boxes for all you modern fans out there. You know?
See, what you do is you make a video, right? This is all the Salamence that I bought. You pull out the brick, you package it.
I made a short.
Right, you package it, and then one day when you do sell that very rare Salamence for 6 digits, it has to include the brick because it's part of the story.
I could do that.
Marketing.
Cracking another, getting ready for bed.
Yeah. TCA brought up a good point. He said 1 in 70 has to be way low, even at 1 in 7,000, these should have shaken out by now. You would think that, right? Like,
I don't know. It's definitely
so when
a unique thing.
Rattle
So
reached out to me, he said, I'm gonna buy out all the like every single card off of Troll and Toad, because that's where the original one came from. And I thought he was insane. I was like, dude, it's gonna be the Salamance, so just go after the Salamance. And he ended up pulling the Cradle, and I pulled the Cradle too. But like I said, it's bad. And I sent Rattle the photo of my Cradle, and he was like, "Yeah, you can see it. Like, if you know it's there, but it's not. I wouldn't even sell it. It's not worth selling. It's heavy played. It's shitty. You can't see it. But that means for my Cradle, which was one of his, it had to have been sheet after sheet of just like wearing down the print quality to get to mine, right?
Yeah, that means it was.
But if all my Salamances, I don't see that, and I only saw the one, but the one I did see was crazy ironic, like I mentioned earlier, that it was in the exact same location. Like, you could put his card on top of mine, and the print arrow is on the same spot. So we're just chilling at this point.
I mean, is it all the reverses then at that point? Is it?
So we don't know. So the Cradle
the nutritional
is
sticker was
a
probably
rare.
it was probably
Salamence is a
stuck,
rare.
right? It was probably stuck on the roller that was pushing out the sheets, and it was just hitting the same spot on each sheet as it was going around
Until it just dries out.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So think about it. Actually, now that good point, Radar. If that's happening, it's on a roller. It's inked up with the nutritional fact stamp. That can only go so many times before it just dries out. It's not for the entire run. It's not doing that for the entire run. It's only until it dries out.
Right. It's only one roller in one facility when there's multiple facilities.
So this is a really weird thing about error cards is for an error card to truly be recognized, you can't have one. You need for multiple examples to exist in order for people to start to recognize it as being a true error, because of one is definitely very cool, but it doesn't like have any legacy behind it, if that makes sense, you know?
There's self-manufactured. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not like a,
so
it has to
it's
be
just
repeated.
something that stands on the mountain alone is just what it is. Like, to be honest, that Salamance, I think the sweet spot of that card, and might sound high to a lot of people, is like 20 copies. I think there's 20 error collectors out there who would value that card.
Yeah, for sure. That's just a cool freaking story. Yeah.
Because then when you have 20 of them that exist, then it becomes like a next level. But the problem is when you hit like 100 or 1,000, then it gets scary, you know?
Just send it to Gary. Send it to Gary. He'll get a label for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got the biggest podcast in Guam right now. We got it.
That's right. Yeah, that was pretty epic. Huh?
All right.
I see you, Rusty.
Still in the bed. Good night, TCA.
I'm getting to
I
that
can't believe
point
he
too.
stayed up this late.
Yeah, it's midnight over there, right? Well, it's midnight for both of you guys over there, right?
Yeah.
See Mason Berry in the chat. Could not get Mason Berry on the live stream the other night. No
Yeah,
big
very
deal.
disappointed.
Not sad.
When am I gonna see you next, Basic? What are you going to the national or collect?
So once again, national, like it might not. Right now it's like 50-50. But yeah.
What days? What days?
For the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the weekend. Yeah, definitely. I went to the last one in Chicago. I mean, it was an awesome time. I don't collect sports. I don't collect anything in sports, but I just thought, again, because of the hype, I was like, man, I got to check this out. You know, I just jumped on that bandwagon without buying anything, but I just jumped on the bandwagon. Let me go check it out. And, you know, you guys showed up there, and that was pretty awesome to see the few people that showed up for the Pokemon community.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to go check it out. I think Jake Pokemon said he was going to be there.
Yeah, he'll be there Thursday and
Yeah.
Friday.
Oh, Thursday and Friday. So I'm probably gonna miss him if I go. But yeah, I'm definitely debating. I'm open that weekend, so for sure. Who else is going that you know of?
I don't really know. I haven't talked to anybody other than Jake and then Nick and Ryan. So typical whatnot people will be there. And yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, I think you brought it up on the last live when you had the whole Pokey bunch on, but you mentioned that you caught some deals at the sport at the national simply because
I bought a
how
trophy
many.
card.
Yeah, exactly. So like how many
Yeah.
people are going to the national with the intent of buying Pokemon cards, right? That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So I myself bought a few cards, no trophies. But but yeah, when you mentioned, I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's actually a good point. Like the national, that's especially during this time, you might actually get even better deals now.
Yeah. I think yeah, I just think like the old timey sports card people will be looking to move Pokemon. So great
What do
time
you
to
think,
buy.
PK? What do you think, PK National? Y'all look?
Not national, but possibly Denver. I'm like 69%, 99%, 100%.
Oh,
I
that's high.
got I got the
Oh,
okay from my wife. I haven't bought a
I'll be in
ticket.
Denver. Yeah, I gotta plan that one out. I have LA. I have LA booked,
Are you
but
gonna
I
do
have
Denver or Radar?
yeah.
You want to get an Airbnb? Get a
I,
couple more people.
I'm gonna stay with my old college roommate.
I hate people that stay for free at places.
You need the Poke monies, man. You need to save those Poke monies.
Basic. What are you doing in Denver? You want to do Airbnb?
I've actually staying with a friend as well. No, I'm just playing. No, I don't have any. Look, I'm gonna be at LBC. I have a freaking booth. I don't even have my plane ticket. I don't even have my hotel room. People have been asking me like, "Where are you staying? When are you getting in?" I was like, "Dude, I take care of that like the day of."
Listen, nobody wants to stay at an Airbnb with me. That's fine. I'll go find my own friends.
Nick and Dan will.
Well, we don't know if they're actually going.
So it's
Nick
like,
and Dan, but we don't know about the other Nick and Ryan.
is it like a short thing though, PK? I mean, like how sure are you? Because the last two times I heard you put percentages out there, you said 30 and then it went down to 20.
Yeah, but then I asked my wife, she said okay, and
then she sounded very optimistic.
dude,
She sounded very not optimistic. She sounded very her enthusiasm was through the roof on that answer. Yeah.
she's okay with it. I don't know. I think Denver is gonna be that weird thing. I just can't miss it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with Denver. I don't know. I think maybe a lot of PokeTubers showed it, and
I've got a theory, and I think it's a very valid theory, but I think it's because of Swami. Swami's out there in Denver, and you already have the regulars. Radar's going to show up to every freaking Collecticon. You can count on that guy to be there. But if there's ever going to be a reason to go to a Collecticon and you just need that one thing to just get you over, it's like, oh, Swami lives
that
in
one guy.
Denver. Swami lives in Denver. Let's go to his house.
Swami has too many friends. Swami, if you're in the chat, you messed up, man. You have too many friends.
And actually what happened when we first brought up the list, it was when Collecticon first brought out their, where they were going to show up their list of the cities. Literally, I think it was that day of or the next day, it might have been UPK on your live. And I was telling the people, hey, it's this city's for, this year. And hey, Swami, Denver, like, dude, I'm going there just to see you. He said, yeah, anybody that's coming in, like, I've got a place for you. Everyone signed up. Everyone signed up and took his offer to freaking have a free stay at Swami. So that's really what got the ball rolling. Denver's gonna be a fun time.
Maybe we Swami, if you're listening to this after the fact, reach out to me. Maybe we could get like a banquet hall. I'll throw in some money, man.
A banquet hall. That'd be cool. That'd be cool for
Is
sure.
any like local VFWs, anything like something super cheap, and we could just like rip $2 Bud Lights and just have like a Pokemon convention secretive. Have you ever heard of a secretive Pokemon convention?
Okay, if it's gonna be secret and it's gonna be like one of those,
Well,
conspiracy groups, it's got to be in the forest. It's got to be deep in the forest.
wait, why does it got to be in a forest? I was talking about like VFW or
We did
something like.
an E4 meetup at 2019 Worlds where we got like a banquet hall and just like the E4 people went to hang out. And then that was kind of cool.
How many people showed up?
It was like 40, 50.
Oh yeah, that's good. Who hosted?
It was I think Charlie or some Dan or something put together like the idea, and then everyone in E4 donated like $20 or $50.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah. And then Nick, old school, actually gave out like whoever donated a certain amount, he gave them like one of those Team Rocket like card boxes that he had hundreds of. I don't think I have it anymore, but
So if we did do Denver, if anybody broke like a gold star box, doesn't matter the set. I don't care as long as it's not Unseen Forces.
that's a
I
great
buy
set.
in.
People don't do that much anymore. It's gotten too expensive. We used to always like at all these events bring packs to open with each other.
Well, that's why I said it's got to be a fresh box, 36 packs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you like a modern pack or modern box will just like
I
buy
think
whatever. And
I
then
think a cheaper, yeah, cheap is a relative term, but a cheapish box would be like, what's a Power Keepers box go for? And you could just pull like Evolutions, Gold Star.
well over 10. Right?
Oh, it's that much.
I think so.
Oh, I hate this world we live in.
Evolutions is doable though.
Yeah.
I love the Flareon Gold Star.
I have a TikTok of me, Nick, and Ryan at 2019 Worlds, just ripping through evolutions packs and throwing the cards everywhere. Because
That's every single Ryan video that
Because
exists.
like we
right?
just they were 50-cent packs, dollar packs at that point. It was so
So if anybody's watching this video after the fact and you've made it this far in the live, do me a favor. Go down below in the comments and let me know you made it this far. And if there's only like one person that made it this far, maybe I'll reach out to you, send you something nice because you are a trooper.
funny. I
And
think
so everyone out there that knows, the whole reason this live exists was before we went live, I said Radar, I heard a rumor that you have a lot of coffee mugs that have your former Radar symbol on it. And the whole reason this live exists is I want you to send me one of them. And I'm going to put Radar on the spot and say, that hasn't changed.
I'll send you one with my hat. I used to every guest that I had on my podcast, I would send a mug and a hat. And all the mugs are in my parents' basement still. But I found all my hats the other day. So
If you still have that supply with the vintage logo, you got to throw that up on eBay.
yeah.
You got to throw that up on eBay. One at a time. One at a time. You don't want to flood the market.
Yeah.
One at a time.
So real quick for anybody out there watching this, real time or after the fact, if you're watching it after the fact, just real quick, click on the live chat. You will see Andrew, one of my mods, dropped a link for Radar's channel. Do me a favor. Real quick, pause this video, click on that link, give Radar a subscribe. If you are not subscribed to Radar, you are doing this hobby wrong. The amount of content, the amount of quality content Radar is putting out is top level. So do
Thank
that
you.
real quick, guys.
Thank you.
Pause the button, 2x speed, you'll catch right back up. Not a big deal. Thank you, guys.
Radar, are you switching over to evening lives or are you sticking to the earlier ones?
The lives I'm still playing around with because even though I have a lot of free time now, it's still hard to stay consistent. But I think until I get settled into my new place, I'll just kind of be quite sporadic with it. I won't be doing morning ones anymore, like the 9 a.m., 10 a.m. ones. So it'll most likely be the late after the late afternoon, early evening. And
Yeah.
If I do go live, I'll do a better job of like promoting it too, and not just doing it.
I think those are definitely more appreciated by the, by the hobby, by the fan base. As
Yeah.
the evening ones, pretty much everyone's out of work, settling in, just chilling back and just watching Radar.
Yeah, makes a lot. That makes sense. Cool.
So who wants to play a game called Who Has Better Stuff to the Left of Them? So Radar has his left, and then Basic, put your hand out. All right. Just
My
put your hand
camera's-
down. Just go right down. What does your hand fall on? Who has the better? What is that? Right.
This is this is a 2019 Worlds screen cleaner.
Ooh, interesting. That is a very niche item.
Yeah.
I love it. So right now, Radar is in the lead. Basic, what did your hand fall on?
He's in the lead, huh? Well, okay, if that's the case, if this is really a competition, PK, you're really gonna kick me out just by showing what this is. Let me see if I can show the back. I think I automatically lost.
You lost. L.
But no, you know me, I'm a collector and I love MetaZoo and I love playing the game. And I've been collecting for longer than playing the game. But this is the Kickstarter backer.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's pretty cool.
How is this not cool?
I just because it's trash.
Only 255 copies of this guy. These were given out.
And
only
then
to
you
the
got
backers
another
of
249 collectors trying to sell it. Good.
For anybody voting for the MetaZoo, just type in M. Just spam the MZ. Spam the MZ.
Oh, you got a jackass. What?
Ouch.
This was the Zero Cool release.
Okay, another
Where's my Salamence with the? Oh, we got an Evolutions pack. Open it, Basic. Pull the Zard.
another left item.
I pulled an Eric Andre auto out of 50.
This is the only card in the hobby that matters, guys.
What is that?
Raichu.
Basic
Basic
Raichu.
Raichu.
Come on, everyone knows that.
I have a shifted foil basic Raichu.
Go on.
It's not
created?
shifted that much, but no.
Is it shifted like that one we saw on Friday that Gem Pokemon showed with the Jolteon? It's going to get it.
Yeah, Gold Star knows what's up. You gotta give MetaZoo a shot. You can't just automatically just shoot it down.
It's nowhere
Mr.
near.
House said he ran out of subs, so he had to unsubscribe to me. No big deal. Oh,
I don't know if you can. It's nowhere near what like Zach has, but I don't know if you can even see it.
do me a favor. Put that in the coffee mug. Send it to me.
All right. Well,
Where's your item, PK?
If you want to see, name a set.
Name a set. Legendary Collection.
Legendary collection. I don't think I have any reverse hollows in this. This is an legendary collection. It's not an $18 sub.
Even comments?
What?
Even commons and uncommons. I'm pretty sure it's an $18 sub and you can still get 50 to 75
No.
commons, uncommons. Oh, I've seen them go for 50, 75 easily. It's legendary collection. It's not base set.
If they are, then I'm messing up my life. But I wouldn't. I would just wait on those. Say legendary collection's one of those very few packs you could crack open and submit every card. There's a couple sets that you could do that, but legendary collection's definitely one of them.
LC non-hollows? I don't think so.
Which set?
Legendary collection non-hollows?
Sure. I think
People
you
see
could
that
send 'em.
stamp. People see that stamp and it's just automatically like
I think if you sent name the card non-hollow.
Dark Dragon Air.
Oh, fuck yeah, man. At $18? In 9 or 10, or even in 8, you probably break even.
I think you double your money at an 8. I
Yeah,
think.
that's an easy $18 then.
PSA 10, $73.
Yeah, there you
Jesus
go. That's
Christ.
easy.
Yeah, people see
Wait.
the LC stamp and it's over. That's all they need to know.
Yeah.
That's so messed up.
Never punished.
Radar, that's the world we live in, man. And there's a lot of even I bet you would be surprised if you typed in like some random Pikachu, uncommon, non-hollow from some random set.
Pikachu's make sense, but
That's the exception to the rule. Yeah.
Squirtles?
it's kind of.
When was the last time you looked at what the Pikachu from Fire Red Leaf Green sold for? Which I
Never.
should send that in my submission. Go downstairs again.
I've never looked at this card.
I'm gonna go get it. I think I need to add that to my submission.
I think I need to go to bed.
I think we all need to go to bed. My wife's gonna be so mad at me tomorrow.
Fire Red Leaf Green PSA 10, $26.
26?
Non-hollow.
Yeah, from here on out, PK.
Fresh
The
Cat
only-
said, "Where you at, PK? I'm at my house, man. This isn't the rattle house. This is mine. This is my background. This is the real one."
From
Can you
here on out,
imagine if this is a green screen the whole time?
yeah, the only way that from here on out that your wife is going to not scold you in the morning for being up so late on the live is if you replicate the 13 heavyweights again and again and again. But when she finds out that you had basic on, there's like, what? Like, no, doghouse.
My wife asks me all the time. She's like, "Who you having on? You having a guy on?" I'm like, "Yes."
Having a girl. When's
Had
your first
Ivy on
girl?
one time. I never heard the end of it. Oh my god. Happens.
That's life. Gosh.
Being married, that's a real thing, people. They don't believe it. But all right, Radar.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Always fun talking with you. Basic, awesome to see you, man. I'll be seeing you next weekend.
Probably
Likewise.
bullshit with Basic for a little while.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And
So, real quick for everybody out there, do me a favor. Sub to Radar. He's got amazing stuff, amazing channel. He's got a lot of things in the works right now. I know for a fact. I got a little bit of the behind the scenes, and it's all super exciting. Maybe if we're super lucky, Radar Squeaks podcast might be in the works, question mark. But other than that,
I mean, at this point, if you've made it this long in the video, yeah, Squeaks and Radar Collectible Conversations, Monday, episode
go.
1.
you heard it here first, man. You only had to make it 5 hours in.
It will be on a separate channel. It'll be on Collectible Conversations channel. But
Awesome, man.
yeah,
That's the best news I've heard all week.
good to hear.
All right. All right,
All right,
John.
guys, take
Yeah,
care.
Hopefully I get to meet you in Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
All right,
Right.
man. Good night. Basic. I see you and your ceiling fan.
Yes, sir. Now you're really gonna be in the doghouse. You stayed up how long? How much later for basic? What the hell is that
I'm gonna
guy?
keep going. That's okay. Basic. I just
Yes.
want to say one thing. Think about the people that have been on this channel. So I've only had in the history of this channel, kinda like you are kind of an outlier, but 3 base set packs pulled or ripped. Mine, yours, and then Dan's. Out of those 3 base set packs, we have Mewtwo, Charizard. And then for Japanese base set, which is kind of the same thing, Charizard, which was rock Pokemon. So we only have 4 really, truly base set packs pulled on this channel. 3 of them English, 1 of them Japanese, and we got Mewtwo, Charizard. Come on. This
So
is the luckiest channel in the history of fucking Pokemon. Let's talk about it.
So what you're saying is, if anyone wants to open base set, you need to be a witness.
You need to be here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm questioning all polls. They're not legitimate. None of them are real.
You're gonna make me go and get my my Japanese base set.
I'm saying it. Dan's pack was repacked because it was too at the end of his 60-second live or short he made, which was incredibly well done. Which, Drew, do me a real quick favor. Anybody watching this, can you drop a link to Catch 'em All Collectibles YouTube channel? Because his 60-second clip was so well edited, it made me question, because you could hear me in the background. I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit. I called them. It was so, it's crazy.
I knew it was a repack. I knew it was a repack. Was that today when he put up the short, or was that yesterday?
He put the short up today.
Today,
Took him
right?
like a week. But dude, come on. It was, you know Dan, obviously. Like, it's not a repack like anybody out there watching this.
No,
It was just the definition of this hobby.
Here's how I know it is a repack. We all we all know Dan's personality, right? He's very I wouldn't use the word monotone. He's just very soft-spoken, right? And that's just kind of who he is. He's always been, and that's his awesome personality, right?
No,
but when you see that short, he's very animated.
Yeah,
he's got some character. He's got some character in there. That's when I knew that was all for show. It was a repack, all for that.
No, it wasn't a repack. It was, I mean, out of all the, it's crazy to think about. I mean, I hope he hits a 10, but I hope he doesn't hit the 10. Like, he's gonna get hit with a big upcharge if he hits 10. But
I mean, no charges are good, right? From that standpoint, I mean,
10, it's like a $8,000 card or whatever. Like, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, an upcharge is not a bad thing. It's almost like when people complain about taxes. I mean, who likes taxes? But if you're getting taxed because you're making a profit, that's a good thing.
Yeah. No, crazy.
Yeah.
But that's great. And then you hit the 9 or the 10.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
I've actually wondered if you asked, Rusty behind the scenes of like, hey,
I know
Rusty,
what it is.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked at the pop report before and after.
You looked at the you looked at the pop report before and after,
Yeah.
and out of the 30,000 freaking unlimited Charizards, they're like, oh, it's 3,000 and 30,001. That's basic.
You think 10s hit the pop report often, basic?
That's true. Yeah. That 10s are easy to track. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, I'm either looking at I'm not looking at 8s or 7s or 6s. I'm looking at 9s or 10s. And I know if what your card hit.
It could be an 8. That's the thing. It could be.
So my cards, my Mewtwo's in this submission though, bud. I don't know where it is. Fuck. It's there.
Yeah, that's my fear. It's that it's it'll be an 8. And like a 9 I'll definitely take with if it even has the label. If it even has that label, but yeah.
What do you think chances out of 1 million we could get Mason to join this chat? 0?
Oh, I think there's a very high chance. Mason, there's a very high chance that you'll come on, right?
0?
No, there's a very high chance. I call it 99.
So CNG responded. I invited him, but he said, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, I've got some words for CNG Emporium. I got some words for James Carson. I gave him very nice about 500 cards, vintage cards, and he gave me back bags.
Yeah,
so
what did you get?
I got some words for that guy. But as his podcast is named Never Punished, I mean, I still didn't get punished for it, even after 18 months.
What were your percentage 10s?
Oh crap. 5, if that.
got 5, 10,
Oh, it was terrible.
or
It was
5%.
terrible. No, at 5%. At I think in total it was like close to and calculated 30. It was like close to 30 tens out of 470 something.
You sell
But
any of them?
I'm saving them all for Collecticon, LBC. I got a booth at Long Beach. So I've got a little bit of everything. I've sold actually like 11 cards already. And quite surprisingly, you know, every single one, obviously great, you know, subbed at $8. And I sold them all, I think, for $850, 11 of them. And we're talking about like nothing crazy. The craziest card I think is the one that Ancient Mew bought. And I sold them the Moonbryon, the real Moonbryon from Neo Discovery. And he wanted it for a binder. It was a PSA 6, but it was clean. It was just a dent, clean. It was like out of a pack. It just had a ding on it. And so I remember, and I mean, I don't know if, you know, Ancient Mew is okay with me sharing this, but I thought it was hilarious. So he reaches out and says, "Hey, are you selling that, you know, Moonbryon?" And I say, "Yeah, I'll sell it, you know, sure. And you would be my first sale. So that would be amazing." So he says, "All right, how much do you want?" I was like, "You know what? I don't know. I haven't comped anything. What are you offering?" He goes, "Okay, let me go check out some comps." He comps it. He says, "Hey, they're selling for about $130, PSA 6, right?" I was like, "Really? $130? And he says, "Yeah, so I guess I can offer 150. I said, "Wait, you're gonna offer me 150 even though comps are 130? He goes, "Well, yeah, because, you know, I want to make sure that I can get it." I said, "Ancient Mew, give me $100, you got it shipped. Give me $100, you got it." He's like, "Oh, but that's $30 on the market." I'm like, who cares? Oh, like, you're the first sale, you're the homie, take it. Who cares? Like, I paid $8 for that thing. You're gonna keep it in a binder. Like, I'm not gonna freaking, you know, rip you off. But he was like, I just thought it was hilarious. He wanted to go up from market. And I was like, "No, dude, we don't go up from market, we go down."
We go down, yeah.
Shout out to you.
So basic. Mason said it's his bedtime, and I think it needs to be my bedtime too.
It's okay, man. It's
I
okay.
appreciate you joining last second.
I've already gotten enough people in the doghouse with, you know, with their wives. Oak, shout out to Professor Oak.
Shout out. But no, I appreciate you. I appreciate Radar. Basic, I don't know what to shill for you. What do you want? Your Instagram?
If you wanted to show something, sure.
Yeah.
Instagram, yeah.
So after this video is over, for anybody who's not subbed to Basic's Instagram, I'll put the link down in the description below. I recommend you clicking on it, give them a quick Instagram sub. But Radar, John, I appreciate you joining the chat for chatting for so long. This was a long live, but
Okay, you just reminded me of something that was your mistake by bringing Instagram up.
what's that?
You just started following me this week.
Yeah, of course.
What the hell is up with that? It took you a year.
Like, it didn't take you 2 years. But for everybody out there, man, for Basic, for John, for Pokemon Radar, I mean, but everyone in the chat, we appreciate every single one of you guys. Do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe to both these guys. Subscribe to Pokemon Radar, Instagram, Basic Trainer down in the description below. And I'll catch you guys all in the next video.
See you guys.